Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to another session of the African Speaks. Today, the conversation is Birth of a Nation, and we have the sisters of the youth ministry at the Pan African Orthodox Christian Church, my church community, Shrines of the Black Madonna. Let me bring on the co-hostess with the mostest. What's going on, brother, man? How's it going?
What's going on, brother?
It's
Colin,
good, it's good.
streaming live from Wakanda
There we
in
go,
the
there we
Wakanda
go.
state of mind.
And I'm in the jungle. I'm in the jungle. Again, people, before we get started, we want you to know that if you go to uh, the African Speaks on YouTube or the African Speaks via Facebook, you will be able to send your comments or your questions in, and we'll be able to display them on the screen. And that's on the African Speaks on YouTube and the African Speaks via Facebook. All right, brother. So in this scenario, they said this African proverb: if you educate a man, you educate an individual. If you educate a woman, you educate a nation. That should tell you the power of motherhood.
That's right. No doubt about it. The black woman is the original woman. She dates back to antiquity. In fact, she's older than antiquity.
Come on.
And every other living human that walks the face of this planet has come from the let me say the womb. I was about to say the loins, but the womb of a black woman.
Well,
And so we definitely have to pay our respects to the mother of the earth and the queen of the universe.
this is true.
This is Women's History Month, and we love nobody more than the black woman, because without the black woman, we wouldn't be here, brother.
Say it again. Say it again. Women's History Month. Now we have in Akiba land, we say I am Black history. And we could not have anything in our community
That's right. That's right.
without these
You know,
sisters.
I had an old elder used to cut at Gilbo's shop. He told me one day, he said, "Young brother," he says, if God would have created anything as fine as the black woman, he would have
Mm,
kept it for himself.
mm,
And so, that just talks
mm,
about the glorification of the black woman
mm.
and all that she has created and all that she still maintains today. Because if
Well,
you want to maintain something, if a black man wants to maintain something, he has to have a black woman to maintain it. I'm
come
just
on.
trying to keep it real with you.
Come on.
In fact, I'm gonna keep it black with you.
Come. Woo. Look, I don't want it no other way. Keep it black. I like it that way.
Yeah,
Now
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
with
heard you
these
say welcome back, but from now on, say welcome black. Come in black history, brother. Yeah,
one love, one
on the
love.
African Speaks, man, we don't define words by going to the dictionary. We
Well,
have the Blactionary,
the
the
Blactionary.
Blactionary.
That's it. Our own
Yeah,
vocabulary of liberation. Now, I
that's
had a
right.
sister during the holiday season, a sister Tunu, and I hit Sister Tunu up, and I wanted her to come
Powerful.
on the show, and she said, "Brother, there is a spirit of motherhood that is on my heart that I need to speak about." She said, "So I'll come on during the holiday, but when you get an opportunity to speak, there's something that's happening within me where I need to speak about motherhood." And I was like, "Woo, that's enough said." And then
Hmm.
Sister Kimada hit me up. Like, brother, now you know. I'm not going to call you to start no mess. But she has a strong voice, an opinion. She's raised in the nation. And mother, 3 sons, building for the nation. And all three sisters, and then you got Khadijah. Khadijah's just Khadijah. You know what I mean? I've been trying to get her on the show for the beginning. And her clan, she's got a clan of sisters. Well, she got the little prince with her, right? I think he might be in the room with her too. Powerful, powerful sisters with a voice and a perspective, which is a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. So we
Powerful.
wanna bring the sisters to the table. Wait, let me get this right. Fade y'all in. Sisters, how y'all doing? How y'all doing?
I am
Hey,
good. Hey,
Doing
hey,
well. How
hey.
about you?
Good, good, good. Y'all, y'all, I got love for all y'all. You know what I'm saying? There could be no world of Akibaland without the organization and the things that y'all do in the background to bring these kids together, to create a youth program, to do everything that we do. And it's just my honor and pleasure actually to have y'all have speak your truths so everybody else could hear it. um, as we get started, I wanted to talk about in the beginning, which is the base of everything that we do as a community, where the importance of spirituality, culture, and consciousness. And I know from parenting, from my perspective, that isn't that's like my key ingredient. So as we get started, can y'all talk about how the importance of spirituality, consciousness, and culture is in your your personal journey?
Who going first?
Any
Just in
anybody? Look,
our
they all
everyday
humble.
walk.
They all humble like,
Motherhood calls.
huh?
I'm going to grab my child and discreetly nurse her, but you guys get started. Okay.
One of the things that we said in this space, right? That this is motherhood doesn't stop.
It does
Motherhood
not.
does not stop. So this is not a scenario where it's going to be that average question and answer. Motherhood continues
No.
through all hours, all situations. Um, in that process again, because I know, well, Kimata, being raised in the community before parenthood, understanding that the first education for us is an education under God. Getting a child
Correct.
to having that experience of the God within so that they can understand who they are and who they are, and then also relating it to what they are called to do. How
I was gonna
important
say,
is that
yeah.
as a foundation for parenting?
I was gonna say, well, number
Mm,
one, it's very important because as our children grow, that connection to them knowing, and I'm talking about just the general beginning to pray with them as children, creating that pulse
Mm,
within them of knowing that they're connected to something else, is something that stays with them. But it also, as they grow and they're learning about their bodies, how their mind works, beginning to get educated in different areas, being able to relate that all back to the divinity within them is one of the most powerful things that can happen. And I know that that came from, for me, came from being in the nursery at the Shrines of the Black Madonna, my children being a part of that. But there is no separation. I say that there's no separation of church and state in
come
that
on.
regard,
Mm,
would be what I say, because to separate that means that you're getting ready to start a journey that's kind of segmented, in words, meaning I'm getting ready to start just goo goo gaga, hey baby, and
right.
all of a sudden, when they reach the age of 7, 8, decide, okay, now it's time for me to introduce you to God. But God is in that goo goo gaga. God is in that
Mm,
first, I'm calling mom, I'm calling dad,
mm,
I'm learning my numbers, I'm learning how to
mm.
interact with other children, but
Well,
them recognizing that every step that they take, from the mundane to the great, that there is a divinity that's speaking through them and that's actually guiding those steps. So there's no separation
well,
for me.
well.
There's
That's
no separation.
powerful. That is
come
powerful. So, in other words, motherhood is a state, and that divinity is passed to that child, and the fact that the mother is actually being the mother, right?
Correct. Exactly. And just knowing and trying things, because we already know when you, and y'all know, when you first parent, I've started off with my oldest son, Isaiah, singing a song to him. So he was in the hospital. He was premature, 32 weeks. But I started off, and the song I would sing to him was, Isaiah, Isaiah is my name. Jahi
on.
Bomani. Yes, that's my name. Salvation of God, bold warrior, I have dignity. So speaking that when he was in the hospital,
Mm,
in his
Mm,
incubator for 30 days, that
mm,
is what I spoke to him, because I knew that that was the life-giving force. It,
mm.
it was just beyond what the doctors were going to do or anything of that nature. But there was a greater source that I needed him to tap into at 3 pounds and 3 ounces
Well,
from that
mm,
age started.
mm,
So most definitely, there's no separation.
mm.
It's
no.
not.
Khadijah?
Um, so I'm gonna give a story about how I even joined the church. So, So believe it or not, my two older children are related to, I believe their last name is Falamis, and they're up in the Minnesota area. They're Old Nation members. And when I was in college, I learned about the shrine, learned about the nation, learned about all of everything related to the shrine through them, but I wasn't ready yet. Fast forward, Sekou and I get together, and he had his previous past experience with the nation. And so I come up to the church to go to a book signing. And I walked into the red room, and my first interaction was with Fundi Awa. And I was like, whoa. Well, this is the community that I had been looking for. I already had 3 children. Samaya was, I don't know, maybe about 1 at the time. And I felt like I was in a desert. I felt like I was raising children in a hyphenated existence. I was raising children with all these spiritual and conscious beliefs, but I didn't have the community to support my spirituality and my conscious understanding. And so I said, well, we have to come back here for a service. And he was like, okay. So the next, I believe the book signing was on that Saturday. The next day I walked in and Bishop Ada was officiating. And I'll never forget it. She called us out because I looked so out of place. But I knew right then and there that this was the space that I was going to raise my family. And basically that this is history, her story. My story is that I walked into the shrine having the ability to now give my children everything that I knew they needed, and then have the community to support it. And so to piggyback off of what Key said, basically spirituality is the center, the focal point of motherhood. If as a Black woman, I don't know about other folk, but for Black women, if you don't have that spiritual connection, then that motherhood journey is going to be rough and tough. And that's all I'll say.
Wow.
But I was gonna say, and it's rough and tough because you, as a mother, you have to have something to tap into.
Come on,
On the
say that.
real. So there's no way for me to feed my children if I'm not being fed.
Come on.
Period. The struggle is real in trying to do that because you already are going through all of these changes. It's new to you. And then as you add children, you add in the frustrations, you add in dealing with a relationship, you have a litany of things that are going on. So you have to stay grounded in something, period. And that something is because I know from where I grew up that I'm being grounded in God and I'm being grounded in community, which is that other piece that connects that divine, the child, and all of that, like Khadijah just stated, is making sure you're a part of a community that's going to support that and continue to feed that. And you may have to turn your back and look, to the right or the left sometimes, but you know that the community is upholding them. And so that's that piece that gives you a little bit of security.
Now,
Amen.
and talk about, because we seeing that, and remember that conversation we were having last week, Kalonji. Define community so people get it. Because a lot of times people, we say village. Like I was talking to somebody today, and she was like, well, everybody's village is not supporter. I said, then that's not the village. It's like when we were saying the difference between community and it's a difference between a neighborhood. Just because you in a neighborhood, which is a geological place, doesn't mean that you're in a community, which is a state of being. A community is a state of being. It's that support and the importance of that level of support. Like Khadijah was saying, she said, I knew that this was the community that I needed to raise my kids. So then obviously she saw a sense of support there, that foundation. And sitting there, Tanu, how you doing, Tanu? Hey, you back
with the new baby?
With the new baby. I think you muted.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
She like, look now, wait a minute.
But it's okay. We're going to work it out.
You got to plug it back in.
Just work it out. Now, we were talking about, and the topic that came up was the birth of a nation. Black motherhood in 2021, which brings to light that there's something different about this state of being now for Black people that was not this way more than a year ago, where it makes being a mother 2021 a little bit different. And even though time changes and everything changes as we make steps, there have been some major shifts in life for Black people. There's been major changes in life for Black people. And if we bring about the concerns of what, and we'll deal with at least just COVID, and then how did and if we going into 2021 coming out of deep civil unrest, did anybody have to deal with talking and working and interacting with their children in terms of uh, dealing with that level of injustice? Because of course we grew up looking at the history of what Black folks been through, and society has made us feel like it doesn't exist no more. And so you only saw pockets. Now social media has made it entertainment to watch Black people suffer. How did that affect in terms of motherhood and communicating what's happening to children and Black people, and how they are to seeing our existence here? Has that changed or added to your process of education to the kids in any shape, form, or fashion? Because I know for me, when COVID hit, we had a lot of kids online emotionally upset. We had a lot of kids online off kilter, and we had to talk to a lot of them in reference to helping them. How do you express? So in that process of being a parent, did any of the children have that issue where you had to sit down and have that conversation about that? What's happening to us, and why does this happen to Black people? Did that come across at any given time? And anybody?
I was trying to see if Tanu was trying to go.
Yeah, she is. We can't hear.
We can't hear you now.
Tanu-
Not yet. What you could do
Yeah.
is, what you can try to do, well, it's fine, because it could be a setting. So the best way to fix it is to like log off and then log back on, and when you come back on, that sound should come back again.
Yeah. Khadijah, you want to go first? Because my behind is just
Yeah. Me too. I know. I'm trying to be humble because child, please, we get all three of us together.
But that's and it's funny because Colognia and I said we said look, when they get to going, we're just gonna let them go.
Yeah, I hear you.
We're just gonna let y'all go. I can't discuss motherhood because my Y chromosome is capitalized and my X is real small.
But you're dealing with mamas that be dealing with organized and looking for you talk first.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Oh well, okay.
Sister
Khadijah, did you have to make any adjustments in terms of your parenting style and your approach when it came to the COVID experience?
Absolutely. 100%. Initially I went into schedule mode because I felt like, oh my Lord, we all at the house together. We got to have some kind of organization here. We got to get this thing together. We have to have, there's no room for idle minds because we don't want, all the world, all the stressors that were coming down the pipeline from COVID to, the racial injustices, all that stuff I knew was hitting the family hard. So I was like, let's not have any idle time. Let's make sure we're always doing something. And then I realized that wasn't necessarily the way to go because they were children experiencing something that they had never experienced before. Now, I'm from LA, so I lived through, the LA riots. I've definitely had my fair share of racial injustices, but my children had never really even seen that. They had no idea what we talked about in the church. It was all really talked until it hit them hard. And then all the news and what was happening, folks dying, all this stuff was it was weight for them. And so I had to say, okay, you know what? Let us all process this together. And so leniency, set in a lot because it was about really conversation. It really boiled down to conversation. How do you feel? What is making you feel this way? And like you said, social media took over in a major way last year. I mean, it just went, it was high before, but it just went through the roof. And, they're getting even more information, even more bombarded because now their peers, it's not just adults who are telling them stuff on social media, it's now their peers are telling them something. And so their emotions were heavy. And so we had to just make conversation around everything and just make sure that we had it solid, that we understood that we were family, we were going to take care of one another, that we recognized that we had the foundation with the nation, and with mom's history, loving self, that we would be all right, that we had to make sure that we protected ourselves and that everything that they were taught that they could take out here to the country. We live in the country, honey. And so they saw it even more so. The Trump signs came up even more, and they were called the N-word more than they had been before, all that good stuff. So they had to really truly gain that confidence and make sure that these other people recognize that they weren't just some regular black folk.
That's some serious. She said, for children, talk about the existence of black life, reality of black life in America. Talk became action. Kids could not only hear the stories about who we are, but it became real. That's some serious. She said, I lived through it. She said they had weight. What? And that's just immediately thinking about what the children are going through. You know what I mean? And the
But I was going to say, IJ, that adds, and I'll add to Khadijah just briefly in that a difference. And I guess I'll keep going back to if the mama not well, the children aren't well.
Come on.
And what I mean by that is I was scared. I hadn't been through any type of revolutionary moment. Through my upbringing in the church, I definitely knew how to conversate with people about the things that were going on in the world. But nothing had really happened in my immediate space of my life that I was scared and had experienced something that just changed my entire outlook, that made me look at the events of the 50s and the 60s and say, whoa, this is happening now. I had never, so this was also my first revolution, is what I'll say. And so I was scared as all hell. And so I had to register what was going on with me before I talked to my children, because I'm a catastrophized life living person. So I have to put things in perspective before I talk to my children. And as parents, we have to know those things about ourselves. That as Kimata, what are you thinking? What are your apprehensions? I'm scared I'm about to die out in the street. So how do I address this with my children without scaring the absolute bejesus out of them, but also placing enough fear in them where they're aware, and that they'll be aware of their surroundings and what they say and what they do and how they engage in that respect. But for me first, I had to engage with myself to address my stuff, because this revolution was new for me.
Right.
And so I had to put my own feelings in there and then began to speak with them about what they were feeling. And we could have a true dialogue because I was able to be honest with them. I'm scared. I don't know what's going on. I don't even want y'all to go outside. Mommy is scared. More scared than usual. That's what I had to tell them. Because like I said, I'm already that, cover and smother mother to them. So that was me trying not to just crush them with my fear. And as a mother, I had to address that, because I could stifle any of their thoughts or them talking about what was going on if I didn't address my stuff. Because they think kids not going to talk to you if they think you scared too.
Well,
and meaning that you can't express and talk. I'm asking you to do something that I'm not doing. So I would have to be a demonstration to them of how to address my stuff so that they could address theirs, and we could have those real conversations. Most definitely.
Mama not well, children's not well. Kalonji.
Right.
She said she had to make sure she checked herself. And we know that men are rational women are emotional in terms of beings. To be able to check your emotions before you say something to your children to make sure that you're guiding them right. I think that was the motherhood lesson right there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Wait a minute. Let me correct something very quickly,
Go
brother.
ahead.
We are both rational and
And
emotional beings.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, we now
you
and
saw
that's
my face.
now when they say
I was
that
like
men are,
this.
because they said in terms of thinking, how a mindset, they said a man will think rationally, or women will be more emotional rational, men will be more rationally emotional. Women will speak if you so the conversation I heard, one brother said, if you tell a man he's stupid, he gonna be like, he gonna take it as it processed information. Yeah, okay, that's what you say. But when you say that to a sister, it's a whole different heat coming after you. She processes it with her emotions, like, who in the world you think you talking to? It's a whole different thing.
Oh yeah,
Jay, you about to
we're
turn this
definitely
phone
gonna
call
take a
into
moment.
something else.
You know, it's a different thing. So we do have some of the same traits, but I figure women
Definitely.
process more emotion than men do, and that's an issue that men have when even in the relationships where, well, Music Soul Child said it. Teach me how to love. Teach me how to
Hmm.
connect to my emotions where I can express what I feel to you. Most of the time, men can easily express what they think. Women can easily express what they feel. And so in communicating, like you said, I know how I felt. So let me understand what's happening within me so that when I speak, I'm speaking from a parental state where I'm leading my kids to a particular understanding. And I get that. And so Tanu, now that we got you on, girl, this your platform. You know you called me for this. I got you. It's for you.
Well, let before Tanu go, let me help him out, sisters. I'm on y'all side. It's 4 against 1.
I don't need
Holy
help.
I ain't
Spirit
never heard
found you.
that
Come save him.
one.
I don't need help. Go ahead, brother.
What my brother meant to say is that men are tunnel view and women are peripheral. We see straight ahead, women see from the side, so they can see danger coming all kind of different ways. The man sees straight ahead,
Mhm.
he sees the prized possession, and he goes forward. But I wanted to
No,
add
I
to
meant what
that.
I said.
Well, I'm
Everybody
gonna let
think
him
what I
fall on
say.
the sword. Then I'm gonna let him fall on the
Let him.
sword. But what I wanted to add to that, because Sister Kamada, she said something earlier that it was explosive, and I think the statement was so concrete. We didn't really say anything to add to it, but when she was saying there's no separation between spirituality
Come on.
and motherhood,
Come on.
that's so powerful, because to say that being a mother is spiritual, it helps us to go back and redefine our ideology in regards to spirituality. Because you can't be spiritual if you don't understand the importance and the imperativeness of nurturing a newborn spirit in this new world. And so I just wanted to say the Black woman has demonstrated this throughout the history
History.
of our
Say it.
existence. She's
Say
mothered
it.
through the Islamic slave trade. She's mothered through the transatlantic slave trade. She's mothered through World War One. She's mothered through World War Two. She's mothered through the Spanish flu. She's mothered through Jim Crow. She's mothered through the Tulsa riots and the all of these different exotic, crazy experiences that Black people have
Have gone through.
experienced. The Black woman have demonstrated her level of commitment, and I'm talking about a ferocious commitment to
Come on.
mother and take care of her children, regardless of what's
Of
going
what's
on.
going
So
on.
I just want to also encourage the sisters to draw strength and inspiration from the elders of the past and the ancestors of the past, and look at how they had to mother on a plantation. It couldn't have
Woo!
been,
That's true.
Woo!
I don't know how crazy it would be to have that experience, to
Woo!
try to mother your child on a
On a
plantation, and you
plantation.
don't even know
Mhm.
if your baby is going to be sold, to
Come
another
on.
white plantation
Come
owner,
on.
tomorrow, and having to deal with that level of trauma and that level of pain is something that I admire about the Black woman, because she's still here,
Well,
and
and
still one of
and
the most productive
and
women on the
still
face of this
parenting.
planet.
And still
Right.
parenting. That's key. through all the trauma, all the issues, and it's that collective psychology that comes back from that. It's a non-stop scenario. And this is why I said we're not trying to stop you or isolate y'all in your room. So whatever y'all got to do when y'all got to go, if you got to pop somebody, go pop somebody. Do what you got to do because it never ends. Tanu, what was you about to say?
I was gonna just add on to the discussion topic regarding George Floyd and everything that happened over the summer during the pandemic. So for me, my children are much younger than well, Khadijah, you do have one younger child, but most of my children are, younger than you all's children. So for me, it was a history lesson.
Mm.
And anybody that knows me well knows that I'm a lover of history. Okay. African history, African American history, history in general. I love it. So for me to fully explain to them what was going on, I literally had to take a step back and explain what years and years and years of oppression has looked like for Black people in America. I oftentimes take opportunities to educate them on their foundational history, their African history. And I wouldn't say that I give them the basic, kind of give them the basics of slavery, but I don't focus on it because I know they're going to hear about that elsewhere. I want to make sure they know, who they are, whose they are from the beginning of time, so to speak, as opposed to only the African American experience starting our history with slavery. So I had to take a step back and really make sure they understood almost like chronologically how this all started, because this isn't brand new. Like people have been saying, everybody just has a camera, So, starting from the slave patrols and how police were formed that way, the history of police violence in this country, making sure that they understand, and in almost like, an elementary school type dialogue, the terrible things that have happened, and finding a way to come up with a preschool, elementary school, rated G version of that was very difficult. So I had to explain to them the raw version of it, but also tell them, but mommy and daddy is here. Our main job is to protect you and to keep you safe. And when we're not around, God is always around. So talking about that spirituality, God is always present. And if mommy and daddy isn't able to keep you safe, just know that there's a higher power and God will keep you safe.
Mm.
So it was like days and days and days of discussion, because my children, they process and they come back with more questions. They think about it. We could be going to sleep saying our prayers at night, and they'll bring up something about the conversation that was a difficult piece to chew. And we'd have to start over talking about it, educating them on what the, atrocities are, but at the same time, making sure they feel comfortable, confident in their own skin. And they know that even though this world is crazy, mommy's going to protect me, daddy's going to protect me, God's got my back. So in that order, making sure they understand these are the things that are occurring in the world. These are the things historically that have happened that has led to this. And here's in the present day, we're still dealing with this mess. How do we become change agents? So we're talking about the future you. How are you going to affect real change in your communities? Go ahead, Eli. Eli in the back, talking to me with his fingers. How are you going to affect real change in your community? Now, yes, go. Now, yes, go. Now and in the future, but also knowing that regardless of what's happening, yes, it's jacked up, but we got you. Because it was like, I can't tell. There is no G version of this.
Well,
There's no G version of
Right,
somebody having a
right.
knee in his brother's neck.
Ashe,
There's no G.
Ashe.
Right.
You 4 and 7 years old, and damn it, I gotta give you the raw.
That's how it is. Yeah.
Period.
Powerful, powerful.
no
And did
G
you see that
version of
peripheral
the
vision?
revolution. What? It's all
Did you see
rated
that
R.
peripheral vision though?
Yeah.
See, he missed that peripheral vision. He's focused on the tunnel, but This sister is teaching and
Woo!
giving her child instructions at the same
Woo!
time.
You better
That's
say
it.
Man can't do that.
We
We
can't do
can't do
that.
that.
Woo! And
You know,
I
if I
don't know
want,
what you're talking
yeah,
about. Look, I don't care what you say.
Give
I
her
put it
one
on my
too.
piece of paper. It says a teaching moment. It became.
right,
I'm taking notes. I'm trying to understand. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting
yeah,
educated right now. A teaching to sit down and look at it and make it clear again the power of culture, spirituality, and tradition. You know what I'm saying? In community, where it clicks in a black woman who is when she's prepared, it clicks, and instantly it wasn't the issue of uh. I'm tired of being stuck in the house. My kids are getting on my nerve. It was. Wait a minute. It became a teaching moment. And we had to, and at the ages that they are, and then she said, "You're right. There is no rated G." And that's another thing. That might be something that we have to coin. You know what I'm saying? The revolution is straight up rated R. There is no rated G version. It's got to come to you live and in color, and
yeah.
which is as real as you can get. As real as you can get.
yeah.
Mhm.
Um.
But I was gonna say, Aj, but even with dealing with the racial injustices with George Floyd. So then imagine when the next revolution comes, and that is COVID. So
Mm,
something else that seemingly
mm,
looks like another attack
mm.
upon us, and having to have that discussion. Where did it come from? Why is it here? In the same way, why are we not in school? So all of these transitions of them needing to be supported. You talked about earlier. You asked the question, what was community? And even in relation to all of that, from COVID, dealing with the racial injustices and the protests and all of that, the community is I am because we are.
That's
And
it.
it's those people who understand and live in that vein, that even if it's just a phone call, or even in this time of COVID and everybody can't go touch, be in church doing any of that, but owning your responsibility, because our children have to still see us moving, being, and engaging, so that they're able to do that at the same time. So that community of I am because we are is incorporated of all those people who are in that inner circle of understanding that we're going to get through this, but it's only together. And what does that look like? Not just in a, oh, we got to do it together kind of way, but how do we actually support ourselves and then support our children to be able to understand? Because COVID, you're dealing with, Zion says on a regular, I'm scared,
Mm.
period. I'm scared. They're getting ready to go back to school. I have to ask my child, when have you ever had to ask your child a choice? You want to go to school, or do you
Or
want
you
to
don't
stay
want to go
home?
to
Don't you
school.
wish we had that kind of choice
Hmm.
Come on.
going on? You want
Right.
to go to school, or do you want to stay home? And then to actually have to take your child's perspective about it into consideration.
Observation.
But
Wow.
ordinarily, it's just a point blank decision that you would make. No, fool, you going to school. What you mean
Wow.
that you want to do this and trying to do that? It's an automatic decision. But now I have to take my where my child is, because my child is scared of the outside world. Physically, emotionally, all of that, feeling detached. So trying to find a space to still feed them to be able to grow, but as Tanu was stating, but give them the raw of what is,
Mm.
and understanding that in the spirit of I am because we are, we're gonna get through this, and we're creating what it's going to look like as we go through. And there's no prescribed
Yep.
notion, and that's that
Yep. And
uncertainty is what messes with us, because we don't quite know, but we know we're doing it together.
Wow.
That's what we do know, kind of
yep.
energy. Yeah.
In the words of Kendrick Lamar, we gonna be all right.
We gonna
Yep.
be
You
We
know,
all
gonna
like
right.
be all right.
everything that happened is like Trump got elected. We gonna be
Gonna
all
be all
right.
right.
COVID, we gonna be all right.
Gonna be all right.
One thing Black people know how to do well is persevere. We
Come
gonna
on.
make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come on.
Yes. Yes.
we not gonna get taken out. We gonna make it.
Now,
Hmm.
how do you when you
Okay.
what are the conversations? Because there's a lot of issues when we talk about COVID and how it affected you. But that statement, "we gonna be all right." How is that? How was that portrayed through the parenting skills in terms of Khadijah? Was it a particular conversation you had to have in reference to instilling in them that, you know what, yeah, we going through this, but we gonna make it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just one conversation, it was multiple conversations. there was no way, like my sister's already stated, there was no way that we could have made it through without telling the real deal and just reinforcing, like I said, all of the foundational pieces that they had already had between myself and the nation. But you know, and it still is happening to this day. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I said, we live in the country, so they're faced with the racial injustice all the time. They don't hold any punches out here when it comes to, you know, racial injustice, and so I just make sure that they are always infused with their knowledge. They know who they are. They know whose they are. They know what they are. They know how to speak, how to be confident, how to stand up to all of it. Because again, this happened in 2020, but as we can see, it hasn't stopped yet. And I don't quite know when it's going to stop. So we just have to continue to have those conversations and continue to have the dialogue with them. I want to say one thing though, for me, this past year, what really hit me was with the baby. Raheem was just 2, or he was turning 2 at the time when everything went down. And we live in a very, you know, I would consider affluent subdivision out here in the country. And I remember I walk a lot in my neighborhood, and I was walking, and they were stopping. Oh, he's so cute. Oh, he's so cute. And one day it hit me, and I said, but when is he gonna stop being cute to y'all? And I think that was what put me in, what stopped me in my tracks for a second, because my girls are different. I'm gonna be honest. We typically raise our young girls to be more rebellious, if you will. They tend to have more of a voice, and we tend to nurture our boys because we know we want to protect them. Like we already stated, historically, as Black women, we've had to protect our brothers. That's just straight up. We don't have to even debate the situation. We've had to protect our brothers. And so I think we raise our boys with this very nurturing and very secure, very sensitive, very, mentality. And I was like, my God, in a couple of years, my son is not going to be cute to y'all anymore. He's going to be a threat. And how do I handle that? How do I teach him that, this beautiful crown that he has on his head he's going to be considered to be dreadful. He's going to be considered to be a thug. If I don't put him in the right schools, if I don't do this, if I don't, if he doesn't speak articulate enough, he's going to be considered a thug. And that was, I think, the most damaging / stressful thing that I endured last year, and still have that mentality when I go into the grocery store and he's so cute. Oh my goodness, I just love his spirit. Oh, okay, but what about when he's 16? I mean, is he still gonna be cute? I doubt it.
Talking about
but yeah, so that was my reality.
when,
That's all the way real.
right? When does an infant boy is no longer cute in the eyes of the enemy? What?
That's powerful.
I'm about to
That's
say,
powerful.
in the eyes of the education system, they stop being cute when they in a school. When they get to pre-K and they get to those 3-year-old classrooms, and they begin to already be threatened by what they're bringing to the floor, already
That's
being
right.
labeled
That's right.
at 3 and 4, because they are rambunctious and learning and experiencing their environment. So they're already being labeled. They don't have long to be cute. And that's something, that's, we can say, ooh, their innocence is being taken at an early age, but it's the nature of the revolution that we're in to a certain degree.
Wow.
Because it starts off, the degrading and all of those different things start off so early for our boys that we have to think about it differently. And I love how you say it in terms of nurturing. And we do seem, and I have all boys, and because I'm already nutty, I do know that sometimes I hold them too close because I'm terrified for them in all aspects. I'm terrified from the day they were born, terrified. So imagine as a mother walking around, and that's my stuff, terrified. So I'm somewhat hindering and not allowing and different things. And then we get into a lockdown, and it's like, you really can't do nothing now. So again, I'm pressing down the spirit, but I have to find a way to come in between to lift them back up so that they know that they're able to
I know.
and still enjoy and do all of those sorts of things. But it's a beast.
Mm,
Yeah,
It's a
It's a
yeah,
beast.
beast, baby.
Worrying
yeah.
about your
It,
voice. It's a beast.
it's dynamic and it's in power to you, sister. You and Sister Khadijah, for being honest enough and just mindful enough to admit that that's one of the struggles of being a black
black
mother
woman.
when you have a black son is you want to protect them and secure them from the hostile society that we know to be American society. And that terror that you're talking about, that's trauma. That's what Dr. Joy DeGruy Leary, she's been to the shrine a few times, but Dr. Joy DeGruy Leary in her book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, she talks about the
Mm-hmm.
trauma that the black race carries, specifically the black woman, in regards to protecting her babies. And so it shows you also how threatening the system of white supremacy is to black experience, because still to this day, the white man will want to make you think that the terrorists are Al Qaeda and ISIS and the Mujahideen and all of these things, but they've been terrorizing black people from the inception of this very country and even before that. So it also shows you how important the community is, because we need that group experience in order to heal from that trauma and to be even able to just convey it and put it out there that it is terrifying as a black mother when you send your child off into the world and you don't even know if they'll make it back home, just from possibly being stopped, having a traffic stop. A routine traffic stop can lead to the death of a young black male or a young black woman in American society, and that affects the psychology of the black woman and the black man to this day. And so we definitely have to do our work in the process of becoming a more unified community so we can deal with this as a group, because this is one of the many truths that black people face.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Well, I remember as a child, my mother used to worry about me a lot. Being her oldest boy, and she said, "I'm worried about you when you get older." She said, "Because you don't know no, you don't have a stop, you don't conform, you don't assimilate, you just go, and you're not scared of anything or anybody. You just go." And it was for me, and I told her and I saw her that she was like this with my brothers. You know what I mean? My other brothers, my younger ones. And she was like, "But that wild one right there, I'm gonna let that wild one go." And she said, and I told her, I said, "Well, Mom, I'm never conforming. I'm never going to conform." And it was for me because I guess my situation, in terms of how I took being in a fatherless house, I got to man up. And so my it was early for me. It's time for you to man up. And that was in my own head. And that's what I was saying to myself. So every time I saw her trying to hug, I wouldn't let you hug me. I wouldn't let you kiss me. I wouldn't let you hold my hand. I wouldn't even say I love you. That cuddling part was not even in my definition. Because that, like Kimata was saying, hoping that they come back home, I would literally in my mindset will go outside and say, I dare somebody try to stop me from going home. I wanted to prove myself. You're not going to do it. And that's what her worry was. And she didn't think I was going to. She told me, "You're not going to make it past 21. But look at me. I'm deeply seasoned." And so somewhere along the line, you got to give it up to the Spirit of God. You got to sit down and say, "You know what? I'm gonna educate them. I'm gonna let them know what." Like, I wouldn't wear in elementary school. I wore a white shirt and a bow tie. Lord, Mildred, we had a Muslim. I'd come out like that in elementary school. You couldn't get me to go to school with nothing else but the bow tie on. And it was just that spirit of saying, I'm always gonna make it home. And even with my situation with my daughter with lupus during COVID, things had to change because before COVID hit, we were in the hospital. So the minute that we get out of the hospital, boom, the world shut down. And I looked at her and I said, "Look, if I don't teach you anything, I'm teaching you how to fight. That's all I know. I don't know nothing less. If I don't teach you anything, I'm teaching you how to fight. There's God in you, and there's that struggle to make it through to the next day or to the next hour, to the next second. I'm gonna teach you how to fight using the best that God has in you." I said, "This is where I gotta throw my hands up because I can't control what's happening outside." And that was my thing. I can't control what's happening outside. I can control how you see yourself, help you control how you see yourself in God. I just need you to be cautious. Mask up. I'm sitting at the front door. My office is at the front of the house. We got gloves. We got sterile stuff, and then we can move into that, have that conversation in terms of the health issues or the health concerns you had with your family during COVID. And that's a whole different, because now we did discuss, and we was talking about this, Kalonji, in terms of that the mental health problems that we've been having in the community, and how can black women actually deal with that. And that's why at the beginning I said, when I asked how important is the spiritual aspect of your life, because without that, when these battles come, we had nothing to pull from. And so, how have y'all been working with inside yourselves dealing with that aspect? Because I know for me, I'm a New Yorker. All we know is fight. We don't know nothing else. So whatever happens, and I chalk it up to that. But coming from the South and being in the South, and like you said, when does he not become cute, and what happens then? How do you build that into a child where, okay, I am in a a, a, a war zone. I'm growing up in a war zone. This is the first time we seeing it, a war zone. And now
I
that
have
the
another
war,
one for you too. So I guess more so towards Khadijah, because this is something that I've seen be a struggle, and I guess I'm handling it well. How do you teach your children historically what has happened, what, ongoing has happened to Black people, their history, essentially? The raw version, like we talked about, not the rated G. See how upset it makes them, and then send them to school or in their community where it's, a bunch of people that don't look like them. So they're like, so are white people bad? Like, I don't like white people. That's not the lesson that I wanted to come out of them, knowing their history, but that's how they feel now that they've learned about the non-G version of the atrocities that have happened. So my goal is to not, like I said, have them feel like they hate another group of people, because I don't think that's the solution. Personally, I don't think that's the right way to go. But how do they have a level of awareness and be able to kind of know, like, okay, these are signs that this may be danger or whatnot. And then how do they know, okay, well, just because this person looks this way, and what I'm seeing on the news is that, Black people are being treated badly by people that look this way. And historically, Black people have been treated badly by people that look this way. How do I identify if this person is an ally, can be trusted, versus somebody that can't be?
that's real. How do you
You
tell?
want
And I
me to
know you're
answer?
asking,
Because you kind of with your
It
kids
can be
living
it
in
can be
that
anybody.
environment.
It
Yeah,
can be anybody. I was
Khadijah.
just saying, because we both live like in the suburbs. So my
Right.
children are growing up very differently from me. I grew up in Black Atlanta, all Black teachers, all Black doctors, all Black everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is new for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we have. Oh, go ahead, Sister Khadijah.
I don't know if I have an exact answer for you, Tanu. I think my experience growing up kind of helped me with them. So I was raised in the hood, but I went to predominantly white Catholic schools growing up. And so I was already exposed to the racial injustice all the time. And then my father, as some of y'all know, was a Panther and in the Nation of Islam and all that. So I again lived in that hyphenated existence of I'm Black power at the house, power to the people. I'm leading a crusade for, anything that's going on when I was in middle school and high school. And then, you know, go to school and, Sister Mary Joseph is telling me, that whatever speech I did that day is not good enough because it wasn't written by, some white person. So I guess I have that experience to offer to my children to help them understand what it's like to really live in America. They have befriended white folks as friends, but the honest reality is that it's a long time coming in the sense of they still don't understand them, and especially nowadays where our culture is just basically given away for free on social media. And so white folks can have the attitude of, I don't like you at all, but I'm gonna sing and rap all your songs, and I'm gonna get cornrows, today, and I'm hip hop and I'm cool. But then I go back home to my family, and they talking about n-word this and n-word that and all that. So the honest reality is that there is no real straight way to teach them. The best we can continue to do is just to give them what we know to be true and still lead by example. And so when I go out into the public and I befriend, an ally, then they realize, okay, well, mommy has the ability to discern. There we go. The word discern. Mommy has the ability to discern who is an ally and who isn't an ally. So now I need to learn how to do so as well.
And what is that again? The example of the mother.
Right.
Meaning she's demonstrating to them what to look for, what to do. And so it's not, and just like Khadijah's saying, I don't think there's a just clear path, but through exposure and through awareness of them, I think the more they know who they are, I don't have to dog you out or hate you over here.
Right.
You're not my automatic focus of what I'm doing. So when I meet somebody and you white and you are, cordial, I'm cool with you, I can do that because I know who I am in respect to all of that. I know my history, but I also know, and part of that it just comes with time. Because even when, I'll give y'all a story very quickly. It takes my dad, Colonel Chewy, Reverend Chewy. What my dad will say is, when I first met Jeramogi Abebe, he said I was at the age, he said I was 2.5 or 3. We had just came from Atlanta, getting ready to go to Detroit for him to be the minister over Kalamazoo. He said they're in a meeting. We're in Jeramogi's apartment in Detroit. I'm sitting on Jeramogi's lap. I look at Jeramogi Abebe is who I'm, Jeramogi Abebe Ajiman. He says I get off of his lap. I go to my dad, sit on his lap, and he says, I don't know how to whisper it at that age. And what I say to him is that I thought we don't like white people, is what he said. And he said, everybody in the room just laughed. And he said, Jamoji just was like, I'm not white or whatever. And they laughed because at that age of 2.5 or 3, I had already had enough exposure. Imagine at that age
Right.
that I'd had enough exposure to know we don't we don't like white people. Now, case of fact, and Emoji said it clearly, it's not, we don't hate white people.
Right. Right.
And I'm not white, but already at that young age, there was already me forming an opinion about somebody. But what happened was that I was in Akiba land. I had the opportunity to learn and get grounded in who I was and how I needed to operate in the world. And so you were not my automatic focus. You weren't my automatic focus. And I think that makes the biggest difference. And then Ajay, in terms of what you asked about how do we get them to connect emotionally, you had stated that also. I'm sorry. Zion, come open the door. That's the food. Anyway, back to I think it's to dispel the mythology of boys don't cry, men don't cry.
Yeah.
We don't connect with certain words or whatever. Those are sissy words. So, different things that we actually just state to our boys so that when they get to a place where they need to feel something, they're able to do so. Because I haven't taught them as they're growing up. And no, sissy if you think that, oh, boys don't do that. But it's real and it gets ingrained so that they're unable to connect with how they feel. So in this time, and Zion's gonna get mad at me, yesterday, him and daddy, we in the car picking him up from grandma's house. What does he say? We talking about something, and the first statement comes out, men not supposed to cry. Akeen's response, we should not. Nobody, boy, we don't do that mess.
Which is not good, but it's funny.
Don't teach my son that mess.
Right.
Is what I said. Don't teach my son that mess.
Right.
Because no, it's not saying I'm telling you to walk around and be a wimp and do all that, because we cry, and that's not what we're walking around as mothers and beings. So what are you saying? No, we're learning through process how to own our emotions to be able to pass that same, our emotional quotient, intelligence, onto our children. But we have to be able to know that we're feeding them with everything that we say out of our mouths. And we're
Yes.
teaching them how to relate not only to us as women and to their dads, but how
Mm-hmm.
they're going to
Mm.
respond to the world in terms of
Mm.
trying to process. Yeah, this dispel the mythology of what is.
Yeah. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Tanu, one of the things also is the difference between institutional power and that individual. We're not a hate group. And so we don't hate, and we know that white folks only have the power that they put within the institutions. Because one on one, you can have a playmate, but when you got 5 on 1, that institutes a mob. And what is the temperament of that mob? You know what I mean? Because you can have 5 white friends and one black kid and they click. But then if you realize that there's a mob forming, like you said, the discernment, that energy. But then when you realize that no, we're not against white people, we're not cool with the institutions that serve them and
Mm.
don't serve us. It's an issue of power.
Mm-hmm.
Educational
That's a good
system.
point.
Real talk. My niece, one love Benny. You know what I'm saying? My niece was getting they were getting an IEP. They was giving her an IEP, and he called me. I said, look at that, because she don't need one. She just needs a little extra help studying, but she don't need an IEP, because if you read that instructions, it's gonna be hard to get her out of that. So don't
You
accept
better
that.
come.
We don't accept that. So he drove from Kennesaw. I said, and then you in Kennesaw. The educate. We already know that the educational institution is another institution where they don't make us free. They make us better slaves to do their jobs. They make us great employees. They make us, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
it is. Now, in terms of the institution, I said, well, look, you in Kennesaw with this kid. I said, dude, and I said, and if you dress in the way I think you still dress, they looking at you a particular way. I said, tell those teachers and tell that school she has a tutor that she will see every week that will catch her up. Sat that girl, drove all the way from Cobb County every week to sit in the house. And I worked with her, take her back. We're going to catch her up. So she's doing the school work and we playing catch up. This year, when Corona hit, he said, dude, do you understand? I don't know what you did. I said, I taught her that learning, even in that environment, you do not give them the power, because she froze. You can tell they froze her. She wouldn't want to learn. She wasn't free. She wasn't free to be herself. And I had to teach her, look, it don't matter who's around you. Be happy to be you. Be happy to learn. Do it the best way you can and show off to you. Just
Yeah,
to you. And to this day, he says, man, this girl, when it one maybe the only few kids, sprinkle of salt in a whole box full of sprinkle of pepper in a whole box full of salt, but she's showing out right now. So it's not
But Andre, it's a
necessarily,
balance to that, though.
yeah.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt.
Go ahead.
There's a balance because you mentioned special education, so I know me and Khadijah on here like
Go ahead. Y'all get it.
in the respect. So what I mean by that is there's a balance to mothers, fathers, whomever, caregivers who are scared to understand that my child may need some extra assistance that may require me to either get a 504 plan, get an IEP, because I'm scared of the imagery of my child doing that. So I set my child back and not getting them involved in that. And then there is also what you're talking about, which is the parents who just don't know how to advocate for their child and
Children.
need somebody else to speak some life in their ear about how to do that, to advocate for their child. Because most definitely, with special ed being a feeding ground, especially for our Black boys, and you are so correct. I'm a special education teacher. I tell them all the time, in all that you can, get your boys to get everything that they need by the time they enter middle school and they're getting ready to leave so that they don't enter in high school being in a self-contained classroom. But what I'm stating to that is, if it's needed, do it.
Well,
Meaning we can't let the
Mm-hmm.
imagery of my child may need some different type of attention, because you're dealing with some of these kids, you're dealing with processing disorders that are biological. You're dealing with memory disorders that are biological. But as a community, as Black people, we stigmatize special education to the degree that we either one, allow them to just push us into the system, or two, too scared of the
We
image of
run.
even getting them into the system, and we run away from it, and you have kids sitting out there not getting the services that they need. So that's my soapbox
Yeah.
on that one, because it's very true, and I do it for my Black boys. I just had a meeting today with a parent and just talking to her and trying to get her to understand. We're trying to move to co-talk classes, trying to do different things because the system is getting ready to start guiding him.
Mm.
Not as the parent, you advocating what his test scores say. The system is going to advocate for. This is another black boy that we know we can just push to the side. He's going to end up in the jail system. He's going to be here. So we're not going to pay attention. But as parents and mainly mothers having to be humble enough, having to not be scared, not worried about the image. I have people who literally try to pull their kids out because I have family members talking about the fact that my child in special education services. So that's my soapbox on that one. Advocate, get educated, don't hinder your child. Hold them up in that because it's a beast. That education system is a beast, and special education is breeding ground for our insanity if we don't know how to navigate it correctly. So I'm glad that you were able to have that conversation with your family member and know how to say, I need a tutor. Everybody doesn't have that. And that's how our boys slip through the system as we're dealing with COVID right now, having kids not getting the services they need because of the nature of this. So this is a downfall that's going to be humongous if parents don't know how to advocate for their children. So that education implication is powerful right now in this time that we're in. Period.
And let's talk about that. What are some of the things that in terms of parenting with COVID-19 quarantine and now you don't have the services? What are some of the things that sisters had to go through, mothers had to go through to make sure that their kids are getting the education they deserve?
Not working. I have parents who's stopped working and didn't even have the means, but they knew that if I sent my child to sit in front of a computer all day, they're not going to pay attention. So I need to sit next to my child. And we got to figure out as a household, and I'm talking about households that had two parents in the household, making that decision. That's not throwaway income that's coming in, but I'm getting ready to make a decision for my child. The attention span, this, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be talking to the teachers, all of that. But these, and the frustration of the parent, because the parent is like, what can I really do? You're calling me, you're telling me my child is doing this, they're struggling, and we're in this virtual environment. What really can I do? And so it's taking the time to educate parents, but also understand you're also going to have to give them the real conversation. You're going to have to do some work a little bit more on your own at this time. You're going to have to take some of that outside playtime on games and all of that and find a creative way to find them some flashcards, to do some skill building. The parent has to put in more because who they thought the parent was, the teacher, is no longer able to service your child how you thought they were supposed to.
Come on.
Because we already know that occurs. The teacher becomes the parent.
The parent. Well.
And so now you're getting ready to have to own a piece of that responsibility because the child is at home the whole time. That's a whole.
That's a whole nother. But yeah,
it's a lot, and it's a lot to deal with, and it's hard to watch the parents struggle, the children struggle, and it's because some of it is just the nature of the environment that we are in. Period.
And that speaks to the imperative for. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm finished. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's the power of community. That's why we need community. That's the necessity for community. You cannot do this on your own.
Wow.
And I think that's something that needs to be established. Motherhood was never meant to be a single parent state. In order for there to be motherhood, there has to be a father. In order for there to be fatherhood, there has to be a mother. And that family unit is a community. That's the first community. And so a lot of Black people, we don't even get a chance to experience that first balanced community of having a father and a mother there present at the same time. Working together as a team in order to mature and develop the psychology of this newborn child. If we don't have that, we already know that there are going to be some special needs, and that's what Sister Kamadi is talking about. We can't be embarrassed to say that we have special needs as a people. That's one of the first things that my grandmother really instructed me to understand is that your dad is a pimp. He's nowhere to be found right now. Your mother's on crack. son, you have some special needs. We're going to give you all the
Come on.
special attention that you
Wow.
need so you can be reared and matured the right way. And so I just,
Mm.
I was blessed to have a grandmother who was retired, who was willing to make the sacrifices in order for me to get where I needed to be, because she understood, as being a black male and his mother is suffering from a chemical addiction, his father is out in the streets, this child right here is going to have some challenges. And those challenges were not just due to the experience that I was going through, but they were also biological, chemical challenges, because I was a crack baby. And so my grandmother understood that I need to hurry up and put some things in place in order for this
Mm.
son to mature and to heal and to have the proper development that other kids around him are having in society, so that he is not a reject to society and he can function properly and independently on his own. That's one of the things that we have to take on as a community, and understand that we have to be out here looking for these special need children.
Wow.
Where are they? How can I help? How can the community aid this single mother? How can the community aid this struggling father? How can we help you make sure that you raise this child and do that to the best of your ability, by allowing the community to have some kind of active role in the child's life as well? And we know, we've heard the myth, we've heard the story of how the black child was kind of taken away from the black community, to where we started not being comfortable with allowing our next door neighbors to have a say so on what happens
What's
with our
happening to our
child.
children?
Nobody can reprimand them. Nobody can put them in their place. Don't say that to my child. Don't you be talking to my child. Well, that's one of the
Well, we
ways that
believe
you
what the white
destroy
folks told
community.
us.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because that's how they function. But that's not how
Yeah.
we function, and we can't afford to function like that, especially being behind enemy territory, behind enemy lines.
And I was gonna say
And
before
so,
you brought it up, it's like you took the thought right out of my head that we've had to lean on our village in order to make it through. In order to make it through with virtual learning and COVID and everything else is in one fashion we're more isolated than we've ever been when it comes to face, right? But when it comes to virtual platforms and connecting with people, I can reach out to my line sister in North Carolina. Hey,
Wow.
so and so needs tutoring on this. I can reach out to, one of my Cuban alumni. Hey, I know you're a math teacher. I heard you doing tutoring. Can you tutor my son on, 5 o'clock on Wednesdays? So we've some of the in some light a lot has been taken away from us, but I feel like it also caused us to lean into the people that we do have in our circle and think a little more creatively when it comes to tech on how we can use our village no matter where they are to kind of help with the situation that we're in, to make sure that no one is left without having the resources that they need. And when I
and
find out
watch it
about
work.
a good situation with an affordable tutorer or free tutoring or anything like that, I'm passing it along. So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
me. Now it's my nieces and nephews that are feeding off of this. It's other people within my village that are feeding off of this. And before you know it, everybody's functioning and doing better, or at least have access to these particular resources because we're thinking outside of the box and using what we do have.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
And I
say,
was gonna say,
I
but all of
say,
our children right now, and Kalonji, you said something beyond, it just struck a chord with me when you said about special needs. All of us have
Yes,
special
Lord.
needs.
Special need. And
We
look,
all have.
yeah,
So, but I'm talking about from the perspective of when every black child is born, if
say
our
it.
child, while we're pregnant, when they come out, if we know when my child comes out, because my child is black in the world that we live in now,
Special
my child
needs.
has special
Special
needs. I'm
needs.
not talking about
Amen.
special needs.
amen.
Right. And it's
Learning disabled.
say it.
This is that.
Say it.
No, the special need is my child needs a community.
That's it.
My child needs a
That's
group of
right.
people that's
That's
going
it.
to advocate. My child needs to know the connection of divinity within them. So
That's it.
those are all the special needs that they have to have. And
Amen.
so if we know when they come out and we begin to plan for it, it's certain things,
That's
period,
it.
as a race of people that have to begin to be automatic when we
Right.
bring children
Right.
into the world. This
Did,
is
did,
no
Talk on it.
choice because of the society that we live in, that when they come out,
Hostile.
bam, this is
right.
already in
That's it.
place. I'm breathing life
Yeah.
from the beginning. I'm
That
breathing life from the beginning because we have
that's it.
special needs as a people, and
That's it.
change our
That's right.
perspective about what that means
We
of
got a
having
we got a
special
lot of
Yeah.
needs.
people going off on this on social media, and I gotta let y'all know, if you go to the African Speaks Facebook page, which is public, I can publish your comments and concerns on the show. The personal pages, it doesn't allow you to do that. So, however, back to the topic. Yeah, you get a lot of "Go on, girl." That's right, Kimata.
Shut up, Jay.
No, but I actually put that when I wrote that down because I was listening to Kalonji speaking. I'm like, wait a minute. Special needs is anybody living in an oppressive society.
You better
This is
come on.
it's the
That's
whole
right.
thing. So and this is why and I'm letting y'all know this is the Akiba Land Youth Ministry sitting right here with you, y'all. So as y'all listening to this show, understand that these sisters are active participants in raising up a black nation, a nation unto the Creator that will fight against our oppressive state, putting this into every child they see. This is not something that they just do with their own house. So when they talk about community and the sisters I have up in there, if you look, this is a unit upon a unit upon a unit upon a unit that has been working together since, like Kimata says, because some of them are beekeepers, childhood. This is what they do. So I ask you to continue listening and take heed to what is being said, because these are leaders of our community raising leaders. Amen. And so that special needs, it hit. I was like, wait, revelation. We all
That's
special
right. That's
needs.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, and so
And
each
that's the Pan
child,
African Orthodox community.
that's it.
That's one of the many books that we were recommended to read. Black Development Psychology by Dr. Amos Wilson. Brainwashed by Tom Burrell. These books deal with that information. They deal with that content, and they let you know that when you are born in a hostile society,
Society.
there are going to be some special needs. I like how
Mhm.
Talib Kweli said, wherever there's a hostile society, there has to be a hostile gospel. And we got to give that good news,
Come
that
on.
hostile gospel
Mm,
to our black
Say that
children. And
again.
Come on.
that's what Sister T was saying. We got to give them that history from the very beginning of their existence and their development, so they can start understanding where they are in time. Where is the black man? Where is the black woman in time? In that first education, as Malcolm X told Betty on the movie Malcolm X, that first education always comes from the black woman.
Come
And
on.
so it is imperative that the black woman be respected and revered in the black community, because without her, our survival is really by default, we're going to be destroyed if we don't have the black woman positioned in a high esteem and have more reverence for her. And so, I wanted to go that route and even ask, as beautiful black queen mothers today, how do you guys feel about the imagery of the black woman in American society?
Mm.
Because you can say that it's twofold, because you have the beautiful and the inspiring imagery of these black queens like Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama, and just a plethora of black women who went beyond and showed you just how successful and determined they can be. But then at the same time, you have that you got that Cardi B, that WAP community, that WAP image. How do we deal with that? As Sister T say, this is not rated G now. This is rated R. So we got to speak on it. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm gonna just say imagery is a lot. Imagery is a lot, and I'll just put it this way: the difference between, and I'm dealing with the image of the mother and how it relates to the child.
Come on. That's
Um,
that's that's what I
in
was about
that
to say it that
respect,
way.
how it relates to the child, and mothers having to make the choice
Come on.
to navigate through life in a manner that speaks life to your child, because it goes beyond just what you want as a woman,
Well,
I guess I would say.
mhm.
So when you're thinking about the satisfaction of what you just want as a woman, then you can produce WAP like Cardi B. You can produce those things, because it's not about it's not about what your children are going to receive,
right,
because you have to
right.
think about her daughter culture. Culture has to grow up and look back at what her mother created and the image that her mom created. Period. I say that when parents go out looking a certain kind of way, at a certain point, I gotta switch it up. It don't mean I can't be sexy
Well,
and show my, I got all of this over here. So it doesn't mean that I can't present that, but it also means that in the back of my mind and in the manner by which I filter what I do as a parent, as a woman, I still have to think about what I'm feeding my children. Now, hear me. I still have to have an identity as a woman.
well,
I still need to be able to go to my girls and have some straight up, it's what they did. I got to be able to still be able to do that. I have to be able at times, and that's the contradiction. I have to be able at times to say, hey, I like the beat of WAP. My children couldn't stand
right.
it. I
Is it a
love dance.
contradiction though?
So
Right.
but it's a contradiction because as soon as WAP come on, he might have like this. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I'm gigging, I'm dancing. And so my children notice the contradiction in that. And they like, no, mom, don't do that. Because part of it is they don't want their mama twerking. So
Right.
that's number one. And then number two is just like, that's my mama. And my mama is portraying an
That's smart.
image of what I see out there is looked at as some thought stuff. You want to be, you know what I'm saying, real about it. And my mama can't have that attached to her.
No.
But I just think the filter has to come as once you become a mom and as you prepare to become a mom, you have to think about how am I getting ready to shift to still be able to be a woman, be an autonomous woman that still feeds the raunchy and the Holy Ghost sides of me, and still be able to raise my children in a manner where they know I'm respecting myself and I'm respecting them as I present myself to the world as a woman. And because we got it all, I got the raunchy and the classy, but I have to know how to do it as I am molding my children. So it's a double edge.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what Shaka Khan and Whitney Houston was talking about in that song, I'm Every Woman,
I'm
right?
every
Right.
woman.
She had the
Yep.
ability to
And
satisfy all of his desires because she was all of that
she's
and
all
a
of it.
bag of chips.
And that
All
Yeah.
right, all
and
right.
more than anything, when you were saying it, and that's why I said, is it a contradiction? I said because of course if you're doing it, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place.
Correct.
So there is a time and a place for a woman to be a woman. So don't erase it, but use it when it's time to be used. And if you with your man or you with your girl, you know what I'm saying, you could be you. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, like you said, how? So I would challenge in terms of what is the image in terms of building on your question, Kalonji. What's the image of black motherhood? Not just because, like she said, black women can do what black women want to do according to the individual. But when you're talking about, I'm portraying this in the eyes of my children. What do we think about black motherhood and how does that look within our community? Because I can sit down and tell you, no day gets celebrated in this society like Mama's Day. And it's
Better
still
say
the
that.
biggest thing. You still up the dearest to our hearts. That power of because we talk about black motherhood, then we talk about black motherhood 2020. But in black motherhood, there is no greater love in our community than black motherhood. And so, what does that look like? Do you feel, if you say, well, how do you feel? Is black motherhood being respected right now?
Mm.
Which is a question. That could be something because I don't think we've ever, as a community,
I
let
would
go.
like to speak on something, and I think this is where the conversation you and IJ, kind of started all of this, where I said I wanted to talk about Black motherhood. So oftentimes, we hear these empowering terms, Black girl magic, and you know, hold on one second, and how strong we are, but our strength doesn't mean that we're indestructible. And I feel like oftentimes we have to be so strong. We have to be nonstop. We have to be this. We have to be that. We have to wear 10,000 hats. And so we're showing everybody, oh, we can do all these things. We can do all these things. And they believe us and they stop having, even giving an effort to aid and pull weight.
Talk
So
about that.
it is vitally important that our community our brothers, other sisters, whoever's in our community, our family, our friends, whomever, recognizes that just because you see a strong Black woman doesn't mean that this strong Black woman doesn't need the support of her community.
Come on.
That's right.
We land ourselves in the hospital. We damn near have mental breakdowns. We run ourselves into the ground being strong Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
and
we
that's
have
one of the
to we
many
have to
myths.
learn
Yeah.
our we have to learn ourselves that yes, at the end of the day, we're going to carry it all on our backs. But also at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to.
Well,
Come on.
there
Mm-hmm.
was there's
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple
Come on,
different
Tanu.
things too. That's as powerful as that can
Mm-hmm.
be because it hit me when Ayan and Chin was saying, "Dad, do you understand?" First, Karima was saying we need to make sure we have a strong voice for the sisters on the show. I said, "Okay, well, our church is full of strong voices." And then Ayan was like, "Dad, you need to talk about the medical issues where cops are the Black men as doctors are the Black women." And my understanding of I didn't until I sat down and you can hear an adult say it, but when your daughter is telling you the struggles of a sister and how hard it can be just being a strong Black sister. I froze and I was in tears. And I said, look, if I ever felt like I was insensitive to your strength and what you go through, please forgive me. And so I knew that in this platform, I got to make sure that I do my part, and I told Bakiba when we were putting the World of Bakiba Land concept together that look, brother, I gotta let you know the sisters have been toting us. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here as a race. Period. So understand when I step into this, I'm stepping in to carry. Wow, now I'm emotional. To carry the years and centuries of weight that they carried. It's finally time for a brother to pick up some of that and show what it feels like to see a male parent contribute with everything. And so she's right, and I get that. It took me, again, talking with the Keeper Land and me jumping in the way I have, and with this making sure that, talking to my daughter that, Dad, it ain't easy being us. And hearing that from your own, not from a mama, but from my own child. I said, wow. And that is something that made my X chromosome that I always say is this the small. It grew my X chromosome in terms of feeling what she's been feeling. And if a Black man could take the time to feel what a sister been going through, man, it'll break
Talk
him
to
up.
him.
It'll break. I can't see. I don't even.
But
We owe
But I was
y'all
gonna say is this in
so
terms of
much.
the strong Black woman. I'll put it to you this way. This is what happened at work today. So IJ, you are gonna be able to see this view. Shirt I have on today. I don't know if you can see what it says. Shut up,
No
IJ.
stretching, no monkey.
Wait a minute. Wait a
My
minute.
shirt says, "Here's to strong women," is what my shirt says. So I went into a colleague's classroom today. I went into a colleague's classroom with my shirt on. He reads my shirt, and his response was, we only have at my school one Black male teacher at my school. And he looked at my shirt and he was like, that's crazy that we having this conversation. But that's what I'm talking about. That's why so many women out here looking for somebody. So many women doing it because y'all out here being strong. Like, don't no man want no strong woman.
What?
Don't no man want like this is literally the conversation. And what did I do? Just because I know this,
Punch him in the
I literally
face.
turned around and walked out because I'm not about to
Hit him in the
engage.
neck.
Sir, this is utter insanity to me that's being spoken, but meaning make the strong Black woman in relation to what Tanu was saying, the Black mother and the Black woman who learns how to advocate for themselves,
For
Amen.
who
themselves.
learns
Yup.
how to set up and like she stated, having those supports and those different things. Albeit we can't change or make a father be in the life in the same way that you have mothers who are not in the life of, but understanding that as when I say I'm a strong Black woman, it doesn't mean that I'm out here being a superhero of sorts, but I know how to speak to what my needs are so that they are met, so that I am able to do the things that are tasked to me as a mother and as a
Say it.
woman.
Say it.
If I, and true enough, as Tanu was saying, and if I don't have that support, please believe it's gonna get done.
Mm.
Period. It's gonna get done. Now, what you may create are what people may say are some bitter Black women out here who just didn't have the
Mhm.
support. Period, and they just carry just the weight of
Mhm.
just the history of women coming
Generations.
through the ages
Mhm.
and generations and generations of doing above, beyond, stretching, not only taking care of your children, but taking care of your man and the community at the same time.
Mhm.
All of that. So it's not
Mhm.
just, ooh, this mother, but I'm mothering a whole lot of folks
She going to church.
and looking at it, but
Mhm.
changing the connotative meaning of how we look at what this strong mother is and what that looks like, because it doesn't for everybody have a positive meaning or whatever.
Mhm.
So it's creating, I'm an advocate for myself. I'm an advocate for my children and what that looks like. And that's is not easy. It's not an easy feat. I'm just saying this out my mouth. I'm gonna go do this tomorrow. But just stating that as we begin to be conscious and aware, then we begin to put things in place to support that or whatever, which is that
Mhm.
wonderful thing that you stated. Some people didn't know what their village was till the pandemic.
Well,
They didn't know
That's
how
right.
deep it ran until the pandemic.
pandemic.
Oh, I didn't have to be doing that. Oh, you can do this all the time. So when the pandemic is over, can you retain that role, please? You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
beginning to use that village to do, and that's that strong woman, mother to me. That advocate of self, of spirituality, of emotional stability, all of those things. That's that strong motherhood, because then all of that is rendered unto my children or whatever. But
Right,
yeah.
right. So,
Can
but
I add a
Sister
little
Tanu
something
said
real
something
quick?
early. Oh, I'm sorry.
So, no,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I think I want to just kind of piggyback off of what Tanu was saying. I think I kind of know where she was going with it. And I want to add this is that we have to be very kind to ourselves. I don't think we're kind enough to ourselves as mothers in general, because society has said we're strong. We've told ourselves we're strong. Our mamas raised us to be strong. Everybody said we're strong. And then when we don't hit these expectations, then we fall hard on ourselves and we feel like we haven't served the greater good. Meanwhile, we've, clean cooked, thought about myself, these children, who going to college next year, how they going to get there, scheduled 20 different appointments, all these various things, instead of realizing that this is just that every day is going to be a new day. Every day is different. And I think also too, as sisters, we have to recognize that we are not monolithic, that we got the Kamala Harrises, we got the Cardi B's, we got the Khadijas, we got the Tanus, and we got the Kimanas.
Well,
We are so very different. Even the three of us sitting right here are so very different in what we offer, our gifts, our talents, our blessings, all those things. And so to think that one particular image is going to
well,
be the center image of what Black motherhood looks like does a disservice to the Black community, period. Because I worked in education for years, and I've seen every type of mother come through the
Yeah.
doors, and and to think that my way would be the only way that somebody is to do their thing is just, it's a disservice and it's ignorant. So, but there, we can't offer help and support, but it's just not one of us. And it'll never be. It never has been. And we just have to remind ourselves that we all right, and so and so and so and so and so and so gonna be all right, and so is gonna offer something. I'm gonna offer something back. That's a part of community. That reciprocation. You offer
Right,
me
yeah.
this, I offer you this. Now, how we gonna work together to get to the greater good?
Mhm.
Speak on it. Yeah. Reciprocity. That's it. But Sister Tanu said something that really struck a chord with me, and I think she was saying that one of the many things that we need to do as a community, Black people specifically, is we have to dispel some of the myths, as Kamada was saying even earlier, some of the myths that linger over us as a community, and it definitely defines who we are in our development process. And we take on these particular ideas about ourselves. But one of them is that the Black woman, is strong to the point to where she can do things that her man should be doing. And that's a problem in the Black family, because the Black woman should have never been put or forced into a role to where she had to walk the walk of a man in order to carry the family. And that, again, it deals with the history of who we are as a people. You cannot break down history and separate the 21st century Black woman and the 21st century Black man from Black history or American history. We have to be able to attach ourselves to what happened to us as a people. And one of the things that still lives to this day is that the Black woman can take it because she's a Black woman. And what you was talking about earlier, Ajay, is that when your daughter was talking about how you go to the hospitals and the Black woman is mistreated. I saw that firsthand. I saw that when my wife gave birth to my first child. How my wife was in pain. And when she began to tell the nurses, hey, I can't breathe, something is wrong, the nurses was telling her, no, you're all right. To the point to where, we had to say, hey, deal with this damn issue. She's saying she's in pain. She is not all right. And that's one of the many atrocities that the Black woman is up against in American society. And this is really global, because even in South Africa, more Black women die in the hospitals than any other nation in the world. And so that goes to show you that medical apartheid is real. But it's attached to this myth that the Black woman is strong enough, or the Black man, Black woman, Black people are really to the point to where they don't feel pain. So you can put as much pain, you can put as much burden on them because they don't feel it. That's how they are naturally. And these are some of these myths that white society cast upon Black people. And so we have to be able to destroy these myths so we can get back to being balanced. And let me just give you an example. What happens is say, for instance, you're walking barefoot down a rocky road, and that's your life, and you keep walking barefoot down this rocky road. What happens is your feet begin to do what? They develop callus. It becomes hard, crusty, and it's a callus over it to where you can't feel certain things that you're supposed to feel. And that's one of the issues in Black relationships today, is that we don't know how to feel when we're supposed to feel, because we've had to develop these different calluses about ourselves just in order to make it through our life.
Just to make
Are you understanding? So we gotta kill these myths, or we're gonna continuously have problems in Black familyhood. And that's what I want to say, Black, because we got to learn how to be together as a Black woman and as a Black man. That's an education process. We don't get that, but you got to know why the Black woman is what we call emotional. When we say that, we mean something. What are we speaking to when we say Black women are overly emotional?
What is that?
What the hell do you mean overly emotional? Let's get to the root of it. What it is that she's defensive because she has a history of being taken advantage of. From the very inception of American history, the Black woman has been taken advantage of in some of the most demonic and sinister ways. And so still today that plays a vital role in her psychology today. And so if we don't deal with these issues, they're going to continuously become more problematic to the future generations. And so I just wanted to put that out there, because Kamada said earlier that we have to dispel these myths, because again, Tupac wrote the song, and we all know it. Tupac wrote the song, one of the greatest songs ever written, Dear Mama. Y'all familiar with it? Dear Mama, even as a crack fiend, Mama, you always was a Black queen, Mama. What Tupac was saying is that in spite of the difficult experiences my mother has had, I love her no matter what. I love her more than I love myself, because I wouldn't be me without her. And so the issue is understanding, while Mother's Day is one of the most celebrated holidays in the world, still the Black woman still has to be respected more and revered more than any other
woman on the planet
in this world, due to the history of what she's been through.
Now we have and one of the things, I had a conversation with a sister, and she said in her journey, she had to do things that her body and her spirit wasn't called to do. when it
You
comes to
better come
being a
on.
black woman in an oppressive society. She said, so when I'm looking for a mate, I'm looking for someone who can help relieve that
Some
responsibility
of it.
that belongs on the back of a man. Because I am living in a shell that had to transform to be
Mm.
able to do the things that I need done to have the life that I want my kids to have as a black mother. She said, so I'm living beyond my spiritual frame. It had to metamorphose it into something when I became a single parent, let alone being a black woman. Now, Io says, and we know Io, my baby. Io says she's online. She says, I wouldn't say it would be a problem that a black woman has to slip into that mold. It is a testimony of the power within. She said, I'm
Oh,
not going to look at it as something down. It is how powerful we are. And she said, she said, I
mm,
watched my mama become that powerful. So it gave me an example how powerful I can be. Once I'm blessed, I'm not going after the world when I'm not going to have a man. No, I'm going to get me a husband. And she got her husband.
mhm.
But I know the
But
power
you
in
also
me.
know that her mama got tired. And that's that piece that
Yeah.
Tanu was
I was
talking
gonna
about.
say,
Yeah.
But you
And I want to get
still,
to that. I want to get to
you
that part
still get
where
tired.
Khadijah said we have to learn how to be kind to
Yeah,
ourselves because we nurture everybody around us.
yeah. No.
But
Yeah,
how
because that's
now?
not
And
power.
let's
That's
let's
not
let's
power, brother. We
let.
got to redefine that though, because we don't want to
It's wait
label
wait.
that as
It's
power.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say I'm not going to take that from a sister. I'm going to tell you because we wouldn't be here as a race if it wasn't for the spiritual ability to uphold us as a people until a black man sat up. And that's why I said
No, but you
what I do and
misinterpreting
what it
that though.
okay because
I gotta
that
say
is
you
power.
Yeah.
misinterpreting that.
That's
Because
power.
Tanu was just saying that plays to the myth again that black women suffer with of put it on them because they can take it.
No, I'm not
No,
saying
that's
put
not
it on
power,
them,
brother.
and I'm not saying that. What she and this is a sister who's looking at her mom's plight, even though she was tired.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have to add is, I believe, what Khadijah said. Khadijah said we nurtured our children, and that was the concept. If you want to educate a man, you just educate an individual. But when you educate a woman, you educate a nation, meaning that this is who she is. Now, what we're supposed to do as black men, that's another issue. We have not stepped
But let's
up
go
to the
back. Let's go
forefront of
back.
power.
So
But what I want to talk about, because this is for the sisters, like she said, how to nurture. What does a woman have to do in terms of nurturing and caring for self? That's important. So when you said we have to learn how to be kind to ourselves, what does that look like?
well, before I answer, and I know Key probably want to speak to it too, I just want to address, and I know Kalonji was trying to go there too. Is power? Yes, technically, but the reality is that that's not something that we want.
We won't. Right.
We
Right.
don't want we
Exactly.
don't want to be able
We
we
do it
don't want
because
to
we have
do
to.
You have to.
cross.
Right.
We do it because we have to.
Right.
And so ultimately, regardless of what your motherhood looks like I just spoke of, if you have a child and you know that there's no father, there's no grandma, there's no grandma, whatever the case may be, then yes, you're going to kick in and you're going to do whatever you can to make sure this child at least survives. Okay. But that doesn't mean that we want to. And yes, that has been our demise because again, like you said, we have had to take on roles that are not biologically or physiologically designed for us. And so that is
speak
where
on
the
it.
defense comes from. That's where the black, the angry black woman comes from because we are now doing a double role. I can speak for it within my own personal family dynamic. Um, it was a whole new thing when, Sekou and I ultimately divorced. And although our relationship wasn't quote unquote amazing, he was still a father in the house. And then for my children, then I had to become mother and daddy to girls. That's not an easy concept whatsoever, because not only am I teaching them about womanhood, I'm teaching them about fatherhood. And hell, I don't know what the hell y'all do over there.
Speak on it.
That's not my
Speak on it.
job. That's not my
Speak
job.
on it.
You know,
Well,
it's the dad's job to teach them what to look for in a brother when they get older.
Come on.
Same thing with me growing
come
up.
on.
As a woman, my mother, I was basically raised by my mother and my grandmother. Well, hell, that's why I made most of the mistakes, because I didn't have that male imagery, that male leadership that taught me what I was really truly supposed to be looking for in a brother, in a companionship. And so now fast
Woo.
forward, we have a whole nother relationship, and it's not understood why I'm tired. I'm tired because I have three girls by someone that's not you. And I am now mama and daddy only gets them a couple of times out the month.
Mm,
That's not
that's not it.
okay.
Right.
So yes, as our children grow up, and God bless Io and God bless Sha for doing the great job that she did, that Io can say, oh, my mother was so strong, my mother was so powerful. But as sisters, me, Sha, Kimata, we know that shit is tiring. Excuse, I don't know where this going. I don't know, elders, I
No,
apologize.
but
I
that's
Speak on
good.
it.
apologize.
Speak
That's
on it.
good. And so
Speak on
in
it.
that space, but that's honest and that's real, and that's and Io, she said it's absolutely true. I asked her that she wanted to be on the show so she could talk a point, but she said she in her pajamas. So one love
But
with
I
you
was
too,
gonna
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
sis.
but as we deal with power, I'm gonna offer the different perspectives. So we're dealing with power associated with strong women. So even as a part of my story, it was not until in my mid 30s did I begin to look at some of the decisions that my mother made. No one thinks,
Hmm.
okay, you grow up, you have your mom, then your mom leaves and makes a decision that I'm going to walk away from my child and leave
Mm,
my child in a community or with somebody else because I'm incapable of offering my child what I need. As I got older, I began to look at that decision as some people may look at it as the worst decision a mother could make, which is to step away and
mm,
say, I can't do this.
mm,
But at the same time, as Khadijah said, not condemning women's individual walks in that way,
mm.
but my mom knew that she couldn't do it.
Wow. Mm,
So to save my child, then I'm going to make the decision to set her up for in a different situation. Now, I had this conversation with my friends in Detroit. Does that mean I don't have mama issues? Because my mama made a powerful decision to let me go. Hell no.
well,
Because the bottom line is we still want our biological
as a
parents.
parent,
We
yeah,
still want, because that's part of that energy field.
that's it.
There's energy that comes from your biological parents, things and speak that they can only give you to a
Mm,
certain degree, things that you can only know that comes from your biological parents. But it doesn't mean or negate what it felt
fit-
like
come on.
as a child to know, ooh, somebody walked away and did this. But yes, as I got older and began to look, I said, my mama made a sacrificial decision. I have
Amen.
to know that my mom sat back and probably
Woo!
cried many a night because she had to walk away. And you'll have people say
Yeah.
that was a punkish decision to make, to walk away. She couldn't handle her responsibilities to walk away. But I'm going to give you an added piece to that. But what you're also dealing with is a woman that dealt with incest
Come on.
within the family. So she's trying to mother through that,
Mm,
trying to mother through drug addiction.
come
So
on.
decisions have to be made. So how we look at what power
Power.
is as a mother
Mm,
is different for different people.
mm-hmm.
So again, my mom had to advocate for herself and myself and make a decision. Does that mean I like the decision my mom made? Hell no. Because I wanted to be with my mother. But as I grew older and grew into
Yes,
womanhood
Lord.
as
Mm,
a mother myself, I'm like, I can see how a parent
parent.
steps
Come on.
away. I can
Speak
see
on it.
why a parent would step away, because I'm also dealing with relationships with a man as a mother. I'm dealing with jobs. I'm dealing with my own self and how I feel.
Come
So
on.
imagine if I'm walking around with all of that weight and I have to make a tough decision. That's
Mm,
also a part of that spectrum of motherhood and how people view it and what they think. So the bottom line is, for me, as a mother, owning my walk,
Wow.
owning my walk in whatever it looks like, and knowing that my walk is going to have some rewards and some consequences. Period. My walk is going to have some rewards and some consequences. And I pray that I've done justice to my children as a part of that.
Amen.
And that's any woman, whether they are dirt poor and their children don't have, their bottom line is, and am I giving? I can give what I have. I can give what I have.
That's it.
That's all I have, and it looks different for everybody. So there's no judgment, but understanding as women and as mothers, we come in with all kind of stuff. We coming from histories of being abused and dealing with the male, the patriarchal system of women being sexual beings, even as mothers, and that not being honored. And to the
Speak on
basic
it.
level of, no, you just had a baby, but shit, I need some sex. And dealing with, I'm not talking about in
Yeah.
my own life, but just period. And how that degrades what the mother needs and the decisions that I'm gonna have to make, that, hey, I'm getting ready to go ahead and have to do this because I still have to maintain my man and maintain my household or whatever it is. So it is purely, motherhood ain't a joke. Like,
Come on.
it's
No,
it's a lot,
no.
and it's tough decisions. It's loving decisions. It's decisions that, don't you know that my mama knew that her daughter was gonna be pissed at her when she grew up?
Come on.
That she knew that her daughter may hate her when she grew up, but all she could pray is that I hope my daughter reaches a space of
Wow.
understanding of what motherhood looks like
Mm.
and the decisions that have to be made within the confines of that.
Come on.
Period. And that's all you can do, is hope that we get it one day.
Wow.
We need to offer an invitation.
You know what I'm saying?
So great.
We need to open up the altar on
Altar.
that one, because
You know what I'm saying? That's it right
you
there.
said a mouthful. You said a mouthful, but
Oh,
that's what I was talking about earlier. Is being very careful with again adding to the myths of the black woman and her amazing strength. We know that, but it's something that was forced upon the black woman. It's primary example. Before I came to the shrine, I was senior pastor at Mill Street Church of Christ, and that's in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And this is to add to what you were saying, Kamada. One of the things that caught me off guard as a young pastor is when some of the members start having serious problems in their families. And one of the things that kept coming up consistently, now this is at a black church, we had about 200 members. One of the things that came up consistently, what I know for a fact, about 3 to 4 different families, was ancestral rape. I didn't say ancestral rape. I said ancestral rape, to where the daughters of these families, the aunties, the mothers of these families were raped by somebody in the family. And they had to continuously move on in spite of having something traumatic happen to them. And that's one of the issues we have to talk about, because I wouldn't say that's power to continuously move on. I would say that's endurance. That's endurance, but that's not power. And I look at a passage in the Bible, Luke 13, about the woman who had the infirm spirit for 18 years. And when you look at it metaphorically, the infirmity of the spirit was so burdensome to the woman that it made her bend over when she walked. And she had to walk like that for 18 years with her face looking to the ground, her spinal cord like a question mark, due to the infirmity of the spirit. Now that's speaking to the level of extreme pain and poverty and tribulation that the black woman has to deal with. And how even in the midst of being in the church wanted her to take that on as if that was normal. And Jesus came and said, what the hell are you talking about? This woman is stricken with an infirm spirit. She needs to be made whole. And the only way you can make her whole is for you to dispel the myths that surrounds her as a person. And we have to kill that, because my mom used to tell me that all the time. How much do people think I can take?
And that's
And
real.
when she was going through her struggles, and I don't want to define that as power. That's endurance, because power is determining
Well,
your outcome. And if that was power, if we really talking about power, the black woman wouldn't have to walk that walk to begin with. Are you understanding what I'm saying? We need to deal with that. That's not a metamorphosis that she crosses over
Yeah.
into. That's a mutation. That's a mutation, and it affects the psychology of her from that point on. And so, if we don't get that right, we'll continuously have these situations to where we again say, "Oh, that the black woman can handle that," but she
that's not.
shouldn't have to handle that.
And right, she should. And that's not what we're saying. But before we continue, we had somebody needed to say something before they go, because it's hitting the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, two things real quick. We're
Go
gonna
ahead.
have to do a part 2 because Tanu
Yes.
needs to come back on.
Yes.
And we only broke the surface with all
Okay.
the multiple topics that are connected to motherhood. But before I get off, I heard both of y'all mention two things about the black woman, and I think you said Ayan made a comment to you that doctors are what'd you say? Ayan said doctors are
Cops
something
are.
to black women as
It's a slogan saying cops are the black men as doctors are the black women, and that's what led us to do
Yeah,
the
medical apartheid.
medical
right,
apartheid
right.
conversation. That was
Right,
the
and then Kalonji
second
made a
picture.
comment about his wife birthing experience, and I have to go into what my career is. I
Come
mean,
on,
come
Boo.
on,
Come on, Boo. Plug
hello,
it. Plug it, Kadesha.
Go ahead,
hello.
sister.
Plug it, Boo.
But
Pow!
anyway, I am a childbirth doula, and the reason why I stepped into that field was because after my many birthing experiences, and for years I was always the friend who was the annoying friend, like, girl, did you take your this? Have you been drinking your water? Are you doing this? Da, 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 da. Hey, no, girl, you don't need a C-section. You can do this. I realized that our women seriously need it. And the reason why we need it is, one, we have lost our African connection to our innate ability to birth. And that speaks to great, not just the physical birth, but just our creativity, our natural birthing spirit. We have lost that as a black people in this America, and we have to gain it back. And then secondly, black women have the highest mortality rate in America,
Wow.
where doctors are our cops, okay? And they are using our bodies to make money, one, two, and to steal our DNA and to do whatever the hell they want to do with us when we're in our most vulnerable state, okay? And so I don't take this lightly at all by any means. So all you young sisters that are listening to me, please reach out to me. I don't do it for the money. I do it for the passion. We have to save you, and we have to save that baby, okay? And so make sure that
Amen.
you find out how to connect with me. We have a journey. I offer several different types of services, from education to labor and delivery support to postpartum support. And postpartum is one of the very most crucial stages that we forget about, because that baby, and you go home with your husband who don't know nothing about what just happened in the past 10 months, okay? And you confused, tired, sleepy, drained, and all them things. And you trying to nurse, you trying to figure out, can I bathe? Can I sleep? Can I breathe? Can I talk? And you need sisters who have been through the struggle to help you get to the other side. Because once that baby gets here, sis, it's a whole nother level, okay? So God bless
Amen.
everybody. I'm going to feed these children. Hopefully my house ain't tore up, because I've been in this room.
But
And
it's a
hopefully that
continued
boy will go back to
conversation.
sleep.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love you, Key. I
Yeah,
miss
we
you and I
we
love you.
Love
we
you
Peace,
too.
my
definitely need a
brothers.
part two.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
online talking about part 2.
yeah, we need a part
I
two
have to go
because
too. I still have work to do.
yeah,
I told Ajay, said you had before hour and a half. But this conversation has been powerful.
Powerful.
Beyond
Powerful.
powerful.
I want to
And
get
he's
Tanu, and look, I
ready.
think Tanu just popped back in before everybody say goodnight. Wait. Let me pull it back in here. Pow! We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
We
We don't
can't
know
hear
what
you,
happened.
Tony.
But we are doing a part 2 for you. Tanu, we're doing a part 2. We're going to do a part 2, and I'm going to call you. We're going to work it all out,
Hey,
design it,
Bia.
conversation, the whole thing. Definitely do a part 2. Sisters, I want to say one love. I love y'all. And I tell you this, I worked hard for our youth because of y'all. I'm trying to pour in as much as I can for the centuries that we weren't there. I'm trying to show you that we here now.
Mm,
I
come
love
on.
y'all. I thank
We
you.
love
And,
y'all.
and
We
I
love
ain't gonna
y'all.
stop fighting
Love
for you
y'all.
or with you.
Yes, sir.
Ashe.
Appreciate it.
Good night, world.
Peace, y'all. Good
Peace,
night,
peace, peace.
All right,
nation.
come on, Jenna J.
Qua Harry.
All right, all right,
Okay,
all right.
bye, Harry.
Cry
Bye,
Harry.
Tony.
Later, y'all. Brother man. Woo!
Woo!
Woo! Woo! I told you.
Ah!
I told you those 3. I told you those
You got,
3. I told you.
yeah,
I
you ain't
told
tell me to
you.
bring a fire extinguisher. You should have told me to bring a fire extinguisher and some water hose,
I said
brother.
straight up, look, this the lion's den, but this is the pride coming through.
That's right. Well,
They straight up
in
lionesses,
the
man.
jungle, yeah,
That's
the
it.
lion is going hunt the food anyway. They go and
This
hunt it and
it.
bring it back.
This it.
Hmm.
You
That was powerful.
talked about where, and I remember you asking me, where is the youth ministry that you heard so much in Atlanta? Easy, they being mothers right now. You feel me?
Yeah,
I sat down and said,
yeah.
dude, they are truly, truly from within them, truly nation builders, and they're
Hmm. Hmm.
doing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Nothing but pure
that
energy.
speaks to the nature of the black woman is that she is the first educator of the nation.
Absolutely,
Everybody comes through her.
everybody.
Everybody. But I mean that we definitely have to have a part 2 because there were so many
Yes,
truths that was said
yes,
that I can
yes,
identify with. Because just
yes.
what Khadijah was saying along about her being involved in the medical field, I experienced that with my wife. My wife and I, when we had our first child, Annalisa Deacon Nish, when we had her, my wife went through some struggles because of the medical system that she was in.
Mm,
And us having to go through the hospital system and things of that sort and deal with the nurses and the doctors. But one of the things that was extremely strange, brother, that happened, and I got to tell you this, and Khadijah was saying that how they experiment on the black woman and they use her body to make money. When my wife gave birth, my wife had told me, she says, we're going to take the placenta that comes with the baby because the baby is not born alone. The baby is born with the placenta. The placenta comes out second. We call it the afterbirth.
right.
We're going to take that and we're going to capsulize it and make some capsules for our family. I didn't even know you can do that, but through
What?
medical research and her tapping back into ancient Africa and how we practice medicine in the East, the placenta is medicine for the family,
What?
for the entire family. It has the biology of the woman, the child, and the
And the man.
man,
Wow.
because it takes 2 to make
To make
1.
that
Are you
one.
understanding?
Right. You gonna
And
got me.
that,
I'm saying.
well, 2 to make 3 in that situation.
Yeah.
You know the math. Do you know that the doctor, we told the doctor before we had the baby that we're going to take the placenta. This doctor came back with our baby, but no placenta.
Mm.
And when we asked him where was the placenta, he said, "Oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry. I forgot. I
That's
sent it to testing. I'm sorry. It's just no way you can get it back."
straight up
And
lies.
I really didn't think anything on it until we got home and my wife says, "Did you hear what they said when she came out of me?" The first thing that the doctor said is, "Oh my God, look at that baby eyes."
Mm.
And I began to connect, the two and say, well, what kind of association does that have with them stealing the placenta? Well, the black woman has the ability to produce
To
all
produce all
colors.
types of children. Yes.
I'm talking about the darkest, bluest,
Bluish.
chocolatest,
Yes.
purplest black woman in Africa has
Yes.
the ability to produce a white baby
Everything. Yes.
with blonde hair and blue
The
eyes.
gambit of the rainbow. Absolutely. Mm.
So when you're talking about, the majestic nature of the black woman, it's still something that is auspicious to Western society, to where they want to know everything about the black woman. So they can pimp it, take control of it,
Yep.
and make fortunes off of the black woman and her biology. And so that's one of the things, as Khadijah was saying, we definitely have to watch out for that, because that was a horrible experience to go through that. And being, it wasn't anything I can do. What, I'm going to fight the doctor?
Right.
I'm going
Right.
to hold them gunpoint and say,
Right.
Negro, where's my placenta at? Bring me my placenta back.
Bring me my
you know,
placenta now. You're right. That's
it,
the
it,
indicative of his
but
true
that's,
power. You gonna fight
yeah,
the
yeah.
institution
I
now.
didn't know
I
anything about it. If I was educated on it, I would have pushed the envelope and let them know, seriously, hey, we need that placenta back. No playing around,
right.
But that's one of the many things that we as a people, we need that community.
That
You see
community.
what I'm saying? We need
Yeah.
that community so
Yeah.
we can pass that information along.
Yeah.
Because they flat out they stole that placenta and they probably sold it and made thousands off of it. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. That was and I get that. I know. In my situation with my daughter in the hospital, it wasn't the issue that, because we advocated from day one, we fought. It wasn't the doctors that had an issue with, but it was uh, my daughter's mom, who was playing tapes in reference to that statement. Doctors are, cops are the black men, as doctors are the black women. Are doctors are the biggest fear of a black woman because she's at her most vulnerable. And the fact that
Right.
she remembered the trauma of her 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 aunts and her mom, and she said they're not doing that. I said, and we had to. It was a fight for me to assure her that Ayan had been advocated for. We are definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, getting the best care possible, because I'm gonna turn up, like you said. If you wanted it, no, excuse me, you about to take me to where you testing. You about to take me to testing right
Yeah.
now, because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be the
Right.
black man you
Right.
gotta call the cops on. I'm definitely gonna be the
Right.
black man you gotta call the cops on, because she's gonna be the sister who's gonna get me out. So I'm good. So I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the fact that I had to make phone calls to try to, hey, I'm not dealing with her dealing with the moment. I'm dealing with her dealing with the past and the horrors that black women have in hospitals. And I need help to try to communicate to her, to get her to understand
Mm.
the care that I need, the services I need rendered, because she's denying services, but it could hinder the health of my child. So how I need
Right.
help
Right.
reaching her, so she's not functioning from the issues or the traumas of the past, but she's actually looking at the situation for what it is right now. And the fact that
Right.
we
And
got,
that's
and that was important. That was a struggle for me.
yeah. But that speaks also to the testimony you gave today of understanding the importance of connecting with the black woman emotionally. We have to be synchronized so we can feel what they are feeling and have a awareness of what we need to do as black men to position ourselves so the black woman is
Woman
not
is
taken
taken care of.
advantage of.
Yeah.
I watched uh, a sermon that Malcolm X gave, a speech that Malcolm X gave back in the day, and I'm gonna have to get you to pull it up one day on the show, where he was real powerful with what he said. He was talking to the white society. He says the black woman is the most disrespected person in America. The most abused person in America. He was basically breaking it down. And he was saying, and for that reason, the black man today has to defend the black woman at all
All
costs.
cars. Yep.
And
All
he went
cars.
on to
You're right.
say that if you touch the black woman who was a member of the Nation of Islam, that they would kill you for messing with their woman.
That's it.
Those was his words. I'm not
That's
saying
it.
those are my words. But you touch mine, yeah,
You
you
got
you
to
can
go.
hang it
You
up.
got to stop
You
breathing.
know, yeah,
I don't know what you
yeah,
got to
you
do,
can, yeah,
but what you gonna do is stop breathing. That's it.
yeah, you touch mine, and really,
Yeah.
me being a minister in the shrine, you touch any black woman in the shrine, you're gonna have some
You gotta go.
problems.
It was
You
it was
know,
funny because we make this joke, but it's so serious. Chazira and I, we were clear. If that ever happened, the conversation is, I'll put money on your books. That was it. If that ever happened,
right?
I'm putting money on your books, because she knows somebody's got to die, and it's gonna be by these hands right here. I don't play that. That's
Yeah,
not what we playing.
yeah,
And
at
to
all
my
costs.
daughter,
Yeah,
if anything happens, you'll have something on your books. That's it. That's all
Yeah,
I
at
need.
all costs. We and
That's
we
it.
we have to have that psychology in regards to our women.
Our women.
You
That's
know, we
absolutely
cannot let our women be taken advantage of any further. You know,
and one of the things,
I'm trying not to use some violent words
violent
because that's
words,
what's
but
coming
no,
up.
but you're doing good, brother. You're doing good.
Uh,
That's why I said I don't know what you gotta do, but what you gonna do is stop breathing. Period. That's
yeah,
as good
right,
as I can
right.
place it. Now, one of the things, and there's a couple of topics that they're asking us to address, and this is real. What about the woman who can't have children, who had to, who
Mhm.
still is within the experience of motherhood? So we're gonna have to see if we can get them to talk too. One of
Yeah,
the things,
yeah, because that came to mind. That came to mind. It's
yeah,
funny you say that, and it's funny that they write that because that came to mind. So we know the Holy Spirit is working.
is working.
Because what I wanted to ask is that, even when it comes to motherhood versus a woman having a baby, a baby mama versus a mother,
Well,
that's a distinction between the
right,
two because motherhood is a mentality. So you don't necessarily have to give birth to be a mother.
that's true.
Come on now.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
you don't have to give birth to be a mother
This is true.
as if you don't have to plant seed all the time to be a father.
This is true.
For we know that Sarah was a mother to Ishmael. I mean, we want to really get into all of that, and that's we got to go back and understand our history because we have stories like that,
This is true.
to where we have to understand the mental state of an experience versus just the experience because
Right.
motherhood again is a mental state, as Dr. Amos Wilson teaches that fatherhood is a mental state. That's a mentality. For
Yeah.
we know many men who have babies, they are baby daddies, but they're not
and,
fathers.
and I'll take this.
you
Not
know
many men, many males.
yeah,
Many males, because I
males,
can't even
right,
call them men. Many males
right,
have babies, but they're not fathers.
yeah,
They're not
they're
even
not
men.
fathers, they're
You
not
are
fathers.
a male
That's it.
who produced. That doesn't make you the man,
Yeah,
and that's it.
yeah,
Males
all of
have
those are
babies,
mental
but they don't.
states.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mental state. That's real. That's
Yeah.
real.
Anytime we see that word hood, that hood represents a state, a
A state
mental
of
state.
mind.
That's right,
Now, one of the things that
brother.
also with all of this that we've been talking to in reference and I want to get them where they talk about that nurturing part, nurturing on themselves. But what looks like needs to happen after this is the conversation of that counterpart, because that was some serious stuff right there. But that counterpart, fatherhood, you feel me? That equal state, because we're supposed to be leading the household. But they've been leading the household. We're supposed to be head of
By
the household.
design. That's right.
Right, by
That's
design,
right.
by divine creation. But they've been doing it. That's why she said, that's why it can be misconstrued. You're right, they had to metamorphose into a being. The African sister, she's a Shanti priest, and one day we'll have her on the show, and I talked to her today. She said, I'm doing things that my physical and spiritual frame was not created to do. But I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, but I have to. And the minute I can find someone to step in on that level, shoot, I throw my hands up. You want to talk about being, hey, I'll be submissive to a right man who's going to take the role, like you said, because you talk about
And
the traditions.
that's right. And here is the elephant in the room. When the woman has to shapeshift and take on the role of a man, how does that affect the psychological development of the black child? And are
Woo!
we seeing the
Shapeshift.
consequences of
The
that
consequences
in the
of this.
21st century?
Woo! That's a.
To where there's a
You about to
level
get us in
of
trouble.
there's a level of identity
Come
crisis
on, that's
when
it.
you deal with black
Your
men
mother
today.
had to shapeshift.
Yeah,
Wow.
and we got to call it out
Wow.
because
Your mama had to
you have the
shapeshift when that
effemination.
spirit
That's
is in
right.
the family. Wow.
And the effemination of the black male is a
Wow.
real thing that
Your
I can
mama had
speak
to
to because I'm a black
shapeshift.
man. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's heavy.
And yeah, and so our brothers are struggling. Our sisters are struggling because there was some extra load put on the black woman that shouldn't have been put
Had to
on the
been
black woman.
carried.
And we got to call it out. We got to call it out. You know, the black woman is strong and fierce. We know that, you know, for she's the mother of all creation.
Yeah,
I mean, we know that.
that's
We
it.
know that.
That's
She's
it.
the mother, you know, in the movie Higher Learning, you know, I'm a movie buff, you know, and Higher Learning with Ice Cube. You remember that movie
Yeah,
with
of
Ice
course.
Cube and Omar Epps? There's a part in the movie, there's a scene in the movie where Regina King, she's the black girl in college. This white boy called Regina King a bitch.
Hmm.
Regina King got on the phone and called Ice Cube. And she was like, hey, you need to go and deal with
To
this.
deal with
Ice Cube
this.
showed up to the frat party within minutes, drugged the white boy out of the frat party and told him, I want you to apologize to the black woman. Now, check this out. This is what he told him. I want you to say to this black woman, beautiful black woman, mothers of the earth, queens of the universe, I apologize. And so every time, you know, I run into a sister, I always let her know that she is the mother of the earth and the queen of the universe. For nobody living, no human in existence today
Hmm.
can say that they did not come from the womb
From the
of a
womb
black
of a
woman.
woman. And
And
one
we're
of the
talking about
things,
all race of people. We're talking
right
about all race of people. I
now
don't
that
care if you're white,
and
Asian, whatever.
and it doesn't even
Your
matter,
roots go back to a
right?
black woman.
And it doesn't even matter if you cannot have children or haven't had children. And I'm gonna tell Sister Mosi, you are invited to sit on that panel when we talk about the childless mother who mothers, because she said in her it was innate to be motherly to children, and
Yeah,
so even though she hasn't had children, it was a part of who she was. It is a part of her nature. So said at the ages of 2 or 3, when they realized I don't have children, they started calling me mommy.
right,
You know what I mean? And so that conversation,
right.
like Kareem saying, we have to speak, because it's not just those who are bearing, you know what I mean, or have been able to birth a nation, but even without,
Yeah, yeah,
in the spirit of motherhood, they birth a nation,
yeah. That's
and
right.
that's as
Yeah, that's
strong
right.
as anything else. That's as
But that's
strong as anything
powerful.
else.
As you
That's it.
said, the sister say it's innately, it's in them, it's
It's
in the
in me.
spirit.
It's a part
And
of my
so
DNA.
that's what, but
And
that's
whether
what
I
Kamada
choose
was
to
saying
have kids or
earlier.
not,
Yeah,
whether I can or I can't, it's still
yeah.
in my DNA. And if you
And
know,
Kamada spoke on that. You know, Sister Kamada was saying there's no distinction between spirituality and motherhood.
and mother, no, it's
You
the
know,
same thing.
from motherhood comes from the spirit realm.
Well,
You know, you have
I-
to have the spirit to mother.
we
Yeah, that
man,
was powerful right there.
just to
Yeah.
start in that place where this is who we are spiritually, this is our foundation, and there's no separation in that. That was just too powerful. No.
Yeah, yeah. You know, when she said it, you know, it was so quiet. You know, everything got quiet. It was crickets. And I think that's because everybody was trying to digest
We
that.
was
You know,
digesting.
that was
That
a yeah,
that was
yeah,
woo.
yeah. It
That was
was
a
a
lot
simple
to chew
statement,
on.
but I
That was
say,
woo.
man, oh
That was
yeah,
gourmet.
because yeah, because you got some people think spirituality is about singing and praying and taking the Lord's Supper and drinking
Right.
grape juice and eating white crackers
No, that
without no
ain't
salt
no.
on
Not
them.
not in today's era. Not in today's era.
That's not spirituality,
Yeah,
you know.
today's era.
Some people
That's
think
yeah.
spirituality
And
is
today's
wrapping yourself up like a pretzel and sitting still for 20
right.
hours straight.
Yeah, that's not that woke
No.
consciousness. We living in a world of woke consciousness. They know that.
Yeah.
It's a whole
Yeah. You know,
different
it's
level right now. You know, and that's
oh
the
man, we
beautiful
can
thing.
go
We
on
just
and on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So how you
You
felt
know,
about
when
tonight's conversation?
oh, I felt amazing, man. And the spirit is still pouring in me
I'm trying
because,
to tell you,
you know,
it's hard.
I'm a mama's boy. You know, I love my mama. You know, and I think all men are mama's boys. You know, I
Yes,
love my father too.
yes,
You know, and I was telling you the origin of my story, but my
yeah.
father, he was able to get himself together, man, and he you know, he's an amazing father. I still love my dad and my mom as well. You know, and so that just goes to show you sometimes people have to be given, you know, time in order to grow and mature
And
and to
right,
heal from what they're going through. And that's the importance again of the community. Because if you don't have
yes,
the community to kind of give you that time And
Right.
that's what the community can do.
Right.
The community can give you that time to say, hey, get it together. You know, hey, we understand.
Because
We've been in your shoes.
we all come out special
Mhm.
needs. Man, we all come out
Yeah,
living in an oppressive society. Every black child that is born from a black Madonna, even though they have that inner divinity in them, we are all special needs because the world around us instantly at conception is working against us to being all
trying
that
to
God
kill
called.
you.
So we are straight up, we are all special needs. And so we need that community that is
That's right.
rooted in pure righteousness. Period.
Right.
It's
The very existence of the black woman and the black man is a threat to
right
society
to
in
society.
America, white
That's it.
society, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it
we got it. Francis Cress Wilson told us what the real issue was: is that you are a threat because you represent genetic annihilation when they see you.
mm,
Come on, man.
woo,
If even if we go to the scriptures,
woo.
you know, the black Madonna, she gave birth to Jesus, the revolutionary Messiah, and the boy was not even a year old before they had to flee and go to Egypt in
Right.
order to keep him safe
Safe.
from the hands of Herod, who was trying to kill him
Kill
off at that time.
every firstborn male because of what the
Yeah,
prophecy was saying. We're just saying, yeah,
yeah,
we're not gonna have this happen to
yeah,
us. Oh, it's coming. You can't stop it. We don't know how
yeah.
long, but it's coming. It's a man.
Yeah, I think the
This
African
was
has
a
spoken tonight, brother.
yeah. I can You know what I'm saying? This is like you just yeah. This was much needed. I understand now why Karima was saying make sure that, and there's a reason why we call the church the Shrines of the Black Madonna,
That's right. That's right.
giving
It's named after
paying
the black woman.
homage. Come on,
Yeah,
paying
and
homage
that
to the Black
shows you the
Madonna.
level of extreme, and I say extreme
Come on,
level of knowledge and
come on.
intelligence that Jeramoji
That
Baby
Baby
Ajimon had.
Benjamin had. That's right. We
Yeah,
not.
he went all the way back. You
Yeah,
know, he
this is a
went
Black
back to the
Madonna.
Black Madonna.
We can tell
The
you
Black Madonna is even in the Islamic story. Come on, man.
right.
You know, shout out to the Nation of Islam, but
Islam,
you know,
one
the
love.
Black, yeah, is the Black Madonna precedes all of that.
Wow, man. I don't even. I think I'm gonna be sitting up for. I'm gonna go hug and kiss my daughter.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
gotta
me too.
prepare. We gotta decide. Yeah, we can put some things back and make this a next week thing too, because we don't want to put it off too long and see if they got time. You know.
Yeah, yeah, we'll jump back on it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, brother. Well, the African has spoken, man. I got to
Yes.
go get my first meal. I ain't ate yet.
Me either.
Haven't. Yeah, it's time to eat.
Me either. I had lunch. That was it. That was breakfast and lunch. That was brunch for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, yeah, what you
brother,
about to eat? Some noodles?
nah, I gotta find some food, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna track my daughter down and be like, hey, what you gonna feed you next week?
Oh man.
I got some vegetables in there. You know what I'm saying? I got
Yeah,
something in there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
one love, man. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
All right,
Before we
brother.
go,
Yes,
you got
sir.
anything to say to the people before you head out?
Be back next week. Next week. Make sure you tune in this Wednesday to Woke Wednesdays. Pan African Orthodox Christian Church put on Wednesdays, the Woke Wednesdays. You don't want to miss that presentation. Sunday, you're gonna hear another dynamic message. Is this Sunday? No, we going April 4th. Is this Sunday? Is it? Or do we
No,
got one
no,
more
that's
Sunday
not.
in
We
there?
got one more Sunday. We got one more Sunday. So this is another.
Okay, so tune in to hear another black dynamic woman speak,
There we
because I
go.
know they're gonna bring it. Shout out to Bishop Dejanava. She did her thing this past Sunday.
Yep, yep. Uh, everybody, we thank you for coming. We appreciate you. We hope you learned something, sisters. Again, I open the floor up. The African Speaks. This is a platform that if you got something to say, there's a topic that you want, just let us know, and we'll definitely discuss it as a community and as a family. We said there is nothing more sacred than the liberation of black people, and that is what
Amen.
we
Okay.
represent. And from this point on, we're gonna make sure that the African always speaks. One love.
Peace.
Good night.
One love.